Hey, how's it going?
Hello.
And I will have to step out for just a second as we get started reading this bill because I have to go let my pup back in. But um yeah, this is
Hey, how's
an
it going?
interesting thing because I wasn't even aware of the special
Hello.
session going on, which is interesting because this is one of my neighboring states and normally I keep a closer tab on this, so I'm a little annoyed at myself that this one slipped under my radar. God, don't talk all at once, guys.
Apparently, my mic wasn't working. I hadn't turned my mic on, so first time streamer issues.
Yep.
And by first time streamer issues, I mean that I've been doing things dealing with streaming since like 2018. So this was something that I probably should have fixed up. But anyway, I'm Desperado Sensei. This is Jacanadar, and this is Ancom Psycom. And we're going to be talking about Louisiana's 2025 legislation session, their special session, where we're going to talk about the things that they passed, which are horrible, and some of the things that they rejected, which are just as horrible as the things that passed.
Yes. And as I said, I don't know if they heard me. I'm a little annoyed this one slipped under my radar because it's one of my neighboring states. But yeah, so Louisiana had a special legislative session on Thursday, and I'm just gonna say it like this. Every time I read an article about them doing one of these damn fucking legislative sessions of any kind in Louisiana, and I see a picture of this fucking room, I just want to tear this building down and be like, motherfuckers, it's not 1826 anymore. Fucking update your room.
Yeah. I actually did a video on four measures that Landry, the governor, tried to pass, and and like failed miserably because they were that frickin' horrible.
Yeah, this room looks like the marble on the walls has been there so long that all the cigar smoke that used to be smoked by Congress people over the last several hundred years has just stained all of the walls that slight shade of yellow brown. That is,
I mean, it does look
so
like
gross.
that, but if you go
I know
back
that's not
to,
actually the case. It's
yeah, I was about to say if you go back to older pictures, it's the same color. I think this
yeah,
is
it just looks awful.
but more my issue is, Ancom, I look at this room, I could sell that marble and fund Louisiana school systems for the next decade.
And also,
honestly, if I were to remove all of that marble and start selling it to fucking like construction company, that's probably $20 million in marble at minimum. At minimum.
And can I just say, I want to find and punch whoever chose that shade of green for the curtains. What the fuck?
I forget. I forget, but I see that color green all over Louisiana. There's probably some cultural thing there. I wish Rich was here because his girlfriend lives in Louisiana. He might fucking remember why they use this kind of like pale hunter green.
Yeah, like that color looks like something that should come out of my eye, not something that should be on curtains.
Of course, you get me just as I mute. But okay, but let's get reading this AP article. So, Baton Rouge, with just minutes to spare, Louisiana lawmakers concluded the 2025 legislative session on Thursday, but per usual, it ended with a bang. Before lawmakers could even walk out the Capitol doors, Governor Jeff Landry said he planned to call a special session in the future with hopes of reviving controversial legislation that died Thursday. It's unclear when exactly lawmakers would be asked to return. last-minute amendments to the bill, which would prohibit companies from owning both pharmacy benefits managers and drugstores, caused a frenzy in the final days of the session, complete with fiery testimony from lawmakers and massive lobbying campaign to block the measure by retail giant CVS, and the promises of legal action by the Attorney General. Okay, so for some reason my brain didn't want to add the S on the benefits in there 3 times, but what this would effectively do is kill everything that's not mail order prescription in the state.
Yep.
Just so like, I mean, there's a lot more that goes into it, but it is either that or you would have to go to 2 places every time you filled a prescription.
Mm-hmm.
Wait.
So
back this up. Why would you have to go to 2 places? Because a PBM is
you would because of the way that this would function with the way that like our normal like policy laws on administering controlled substances work. This would effectively shut down every pharmacy and anywhere that is not pharmacy exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
It would like if you have grocery, if you have all like you would like your mom and pop place and your mail order place would be fine. CVS would have to shut down their pharmacy.
Wait, I'm a little confused as to why. Okay, so I get that CVS would because they run a PBM.
Because it has to be there. They have to be on site to administer the medication if you are a wider store that is not pharmacy exclusive. It's stupid laws, ANCOM. Let me rephrase that. Stupid regulation, I should say.
I'm not seeing the connection here, though, right? Because a pharmacy benefits manager is just the segment, or it is just like the company that manages the insurance claims for prescription drug, right? That's what a PBM is. Mm-hmm. And then a drugstore is just the pharmacy itself.
So everybody's either going to have to pay out of pocket cash or go 2 places because they'd have to go deal with the insurance company, then go get their prescription. That's
not
the point.
Necessarily, because so hold on, let me, so like I currently use a grocery store for as my pharmacy. So far as I am aware, the Stop and Shop Corporation does not have a PBM of any sort. My medical insurance company uses a PBM to cover my prescriptions. Because my pharmacy is not owned by a company that also owns a PBM, does not mean that pharmacy can't run. It doesn't mean I have to go 2 places. It means that the pharmacy submits the claim not directly to. Then
I'd have to go look at the difference because here in Arkansas and Louisiana, they have to be on site. Like you can't even give prescriptions out if they're on lunch.
No. Yeah, the pharmacist has to be on site. The PBM is a business entity that just covers the claims. That's all it does. Now, It negotiates with the drug companies about prices. It negotiates with the insurance companies about reimbursement. It is a middleman. So the point of this legislation is to say that, and
there's a person that you can call as a Walgreens pharmacy tech that is your PBM, and if you cannot get a hold of them, you cannot issue prescriptions. That's my point. If the company cannot have both, if they can't, that's like in a situation where you'd have to negotiate something for like a compounding chemical, they'll call the PBM. It's not on site as in at every pharmacy location. It is at a Walgreens site that they can call because Walgreens is a singular corporate entity. At a small mom and pop place, because they are a corporation that is under X amount of employees, they do not hit the regulatory thing of having to have a PBM on site, on staff.
Okay, so
Size. It's regulatory stupidity. Nothing to do with the insurance company itself. The insurance company
this
would
is a
like this shit
weird.
to be gone. Yeah, it's stupid regulatory shit because of the size of the company. Corporate America crap.
Well, okay,
not insurance company America crap.
Yeah, because I'm like, I've never heard of them needing to have a specific person within their own corporation that they call. Like, this is something pharmacies around the country do all the time. They call it different, or oftentimes not even call. They just submit shit
And
electronically.
most of those corporations and pharmacies that you're talking about don't have tens of thousands of employees like CVS and Walgreens do. They have a
Stop
couple
and
of
Shop
hundred.
does. They're the biggest grocery chain in New England.
Really? When did they
Yeah.
break? Great Scott. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just didn't know they got that big. They used to be much smaller.
Yes. No, Stop and Shop has gotten huge.
I'm again not arguing. I haven't been to New England in fucking years, but Jesus, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah,
okay.
They are by far the biggest one.
I'll have to look into why it's available there and why here it's an issue. Maybe it's state specific. But, like, that has been an issue here in Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina. At least in those 4 states, it's been an issue for me.
Well,
so.
I mean, like, the majority...
So,
I was going to say, the majority of the people that are going to be using pharmacies in this area, if they're not using a CVS and Walgreens, it's going to be at at a Walmart more than anything is where they're going to be going to.
Yeah, like, as far as I know, Target. Oh well, Target uses CVS. Never mind. But
yeah, Target is inserts almost everywhere besides Walmart and I guess maybe Stop and Shop. Their pharmacies are inserts of these larger corporations.
Okay.
To be more accurate, for those of you who are watching us and have a little bit of business acumen, these would be what would be known as C-stores in corporate lingo. They are inserts that are less than half the square footage of the normal output of their smallest footprint. So on and so forth. Do we use this term in restaurants? Any kind of inserts into malls, etc.
Also, the further south you go in the Midwest, the less Targets you see. So it's more Walmart, less Target. Farther north you go, the more Targets there are.
Yeah.
Okay.
So so I'm very confused about what you're saying about this bill, just because it completely goes against everything I know about what a PBM is.
And what you are telling me tells me that there's more to than even what we have been told in our issues with this problem. So I'll have to dig further into it. But like at least in those 4 states, I know it has been a problem because like if the PBM is sick, you'll actually see pharmacies shut down in Florida. Like, you'll watch CVS shut down for 4 to 5 hours until they can get a replacement in.
Well, that's the weird thing, is you're saying if the PBM is sick, it's suggesting it is a single person rather than a company.
That usually comes from places like CVS overworking people and only putting one on staff at late at nights, things like that. And they'll work a whole region, 3 or 4 states, calling all one person.
Oh, and the reason you struggled with the S on benefit is because it's usually called a pharmacy benefit manager, not a pharmacy.
I understand why I had an issue.
Oh, okay.
I just don't like that it happened 3 times because I stopped to correct myself. That's what God damn it, tongue work.
All right, let's move on down to the next section here.
Technically, I need to finish that line. Also, in the final hours of the session, lawmakers approved the state's $51 billion budget. Okay, good. Yeah. Sorry, I'd left off because I thought that was a beginning of a paragraph rather than just an ad, like an additional sentence, because the ad was in the way.
Ancom, would you like to do the next section before we get to the past section where we talk about past legislation?
Sure. Let's see here. Lawmakers earmarked $1.8 million for, quote, expenses related to the recapture of fugitive offenders, unquote. That's interesting. In the aftermath of a massive New Orleans jail escape. Oh, I hadn't heard about that. They also pulled
dude, a bunch of people got out.
Oh, okay. They also pulled $1 billion from a state savings fund, mainly to spend on infrastructure improvements and spruce up sites seeking private sector investment. In a blow to Landry, the GOP-dominated legislature allocated less than half of the $93.5 million he requested for expanding a school voucher program.
Based as fuck.
Yeah.
Well, okay, two things. One,
well,
if they and this is a defense of the Landry, funnily enough, and I hate the piece of shit. He only asked for half of what he needed, and they only gave him a quarter.
Well, can we let's finish this up here, and then we'll go on to that. Go ahead.
Traditionally, this year's gathering is fiscally focused, but the GOP-dominated legislature filed hundreds of bills to tackle issues that lawmakers felt were plaguing the state, from fiscal matters to social issues. So, with regards to that school voucher program, I would want more details, but I'm like, okay, I'm like, on one hand, I'm glad that school voucher bullshit isn't being expanded, but on the other hand, the question still comes up of what is being done with the public school funding, because if they're reducing public school funding,
and Louisiana a whole lot of nothing, hence why they're 49th in the country.
Yeah. If they're reducing public school funding without replacing that in some way, even if it is school vouchers, that's a problem. So it's just it.
Well, the Heritage Foundation wanted Landry to ask for about it was a ridiculous number, like 199 million or some shit like that. He only asked for the 93.5, so roughly half of what he needed. The legislator only gave him half of that. Now, this is why I say I'll defend Landry slightly, because him lowering that probably didn't help his social capital, first of all. Second of all, he knew that asking for that much, if he got it, would bankrupt the rest of the public school system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to do that. He did not want to be the governor that actually bankrupted the public school system. Yep. At least that's my interpretation of his actions. He never outright said this, but he has gone everywhere up to the line of bankrupting it, and he always steps back from it every time. So this is just my interpretation. He doesn't actually want to bankrupt it. He wants to do what fucking what was it, Nyquist or whatever his name was. He wants it so small it can be taken in the bathroom and drowned in the bathtub.
Yeah.
He doesn't want it dead. He just wants it easily oppressible.
Right. Like, because it's political suicide to basically destroy your public school system. Like, you will never get elected to office again if you are the person that's name is under if it dies under your name.
I mean, I could see you surviving it maybe in Idaho because of their aversion to public school systems since like the 60s.
Yeah, but that's
like
the
there's no way in a state.
We're talking about
there's no way you could do it in a state as populated as Louisiana or Texas or there's just too many people.
How about instead we say populated, we'll just say diverse.
No, I won't even say no because like I wouldn't like even a full red state like Utah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you could get away with this in Utah. There's just too many people that would get annoyed about it, even if they're all Republican.
But Utah is different because Utah is majority Mormon, and because they're majority Mormon, and kind of like there's a hegemony there. Like they all understand because they all like.
Okay, you're right. I used a bad example.
Use a different state, man.
You're right. I used a bad example. I'll use freaking, Eastern Washington, or I'll use freaking Montana, or I'll use North Dakota, because all of those would work as well. Because there it's a cultural difference and a population, vacuum, for lack of a better way of putting it.
The difference is what I'm going to say is that the major difference in Louisiana is that Louisiana, while being a red state, is extremely diverse with many people from many, many different backgrounds. When you're looking at a place like Idaho,
it's also so fucking poor.
Yes, but if you look at Idaho, on the other hand, is not as diverse as Louisiana.
No, you're right. You used a bad example. I just used Idaho because it is the poster child for anti-public school states. But other than that, you're right. You're right. I should have used one of the other ones.
Idaho is the poster child for like right-wing anti-government movement.
Close enough. Like, I'd have to give it the tri-state region, but other than that, yeah, pretty much.
No, but I mean, like, if the thing is that, like, if you were to say the word redoubt to people that know what the redoubt is, which state are they going to name?
Well, that's why I was saying I'd have to give you the tri-state area.
I know that it's
because they say great. They'll say Greater Idaho because that's what they say.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know this, Greater Idaho is essentially like Greater Israel. It is this plan of the redoubt that he is talking about to take over parts of Washington, Oregon, Montana, and Wyoming and make a bigger Idaho.
Right. But the thing is that it's called Greater Idaho because the whole concept of the redoubt is based around Idaho.
Okay, you
all right.
We got a fourth one, but this is a young, angry puppy instead of Fogey.
Yeah.
We got a Barbie. Okay, so now we can get into the bills. So,
yep.
All right.
Abortion liability expansion.
I was gonna read those.
I was gonna let you read. I was just gonna say from the headline.
Yeah.
Duh, Louisiana. Like, we knew this one was coming. That was it. Go ahead, read. Those first three words, I had to make the joke.
All right, so I'm gonna read these, but I'm just gonna read them one at a time, and we'll do like each individual one, and we're not. Then please wait till I finish the whole thing, and then we'll go into it right after that. Okay? So abortion liability expansion. The measure expands who can be sued over abortions, targeting out-of-state doctors and activists who prescribe, sell, or mail pregnancy-ending drugs to residents in Louisiana where abortions are banned, with few exceptions.
Okay, so for those of you shitting kittens right now, yes, this sucks. It's not as bad as the one that they're trying to do in Texas. This one isn't trying to target with criminal prosecutions doctors who perform abortions for a resident of Texas who leaves the state and comes back, or Louisiana in this case. They just don't want anybody mailing the stuff in or transporting it across state lines. As much as I despise this fucking bill and everything it stands for, the mechanism they're using, I don't have a problem. Because this is essentially interstate commerce bill regulating the flow of like chemicals over your border. I don't have an issue with that. I have an issue with the morals of what they chose to put on the list.
Right.
But I don't have an issue with the mechanism they're using here, because this is part of the whole. For those of you on the right, hi, I'm a communist. This is part of that states' rights things that like you want to protect. Because, like, for example, this is that thing that protects your state from having to have hazardous chemicals like on trains going through it as essentially mini nuclear bombs that could go off at the first derailment.
Or just in East Palestine.
Yeah. This is the kind of thing that helps prevent shit like that. So this is the kind of states' rights that you want to protect, and therefore I'm okay with them using it. I wish they would have used it on something less fucking ghoulish.
And East Palestine was that derailment that happened 2 years ago that was in Ohio. Was it 2 years ago or was it a year ago?
Is it two? I think it was 3 years. I think time is compressing on us because
it was 2 or 3 years ago. It was in Ohio. Basically, a train derailed, a whole bunch of chemicals. A whole town got sick, and basically it just kind of flew under the radar, and people are still getting sick.
Polyethyl vinyl chloride was the primary chemical that was the problem.
It was 2 years ago, February 3rd, 2023.
Woohoo!
Okay, so two and a half. Hey, that's why I was a little confused because almost 2.5 years ago now. So
year and a half ago.
2023.
No, never mind. You're right. 2.5. I'm getting my math wrong.
Yeah, like I said, time's compressing. So much shit happens all the time now. It's hard to fucking keep days blur.
Yeah.
I'm constantly reminded of the Lenin quote. I don't know if it's an actual quote or just like apocrypha, but there are decades where nothing happens and there are weeks where decades happen. I feel like the last 8-9 years have been like years in which centuries have happened. It's been that jam-packed.
No, I'm with you, and I don't know if Lenin said it first because there is a very similar quote in Latin from Pliny. It's probably a phrase that has just been manipulated through languages because it's a pretty common understanding that there are fat years and there are lean years, even when it comes to excitement and horror and everything else in the world.
Right. Well, what I was going to say with this abortion liability expansion is that if you are all for states' rights, you should be happy about this. But if you are a free market capitalist, you should be completely angry about this.
And I don't care which one. I don't care which one has you angry. You should be more angry at the fact that they are trying to sue people for things that they have no business trying to sue people over, essentially creating legal bounties on medical care. What's next? They coming after your SSRIs or your Ozempic? Actually think about a few steps down the line what these mechanisms can do if they are used inappropriately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is one of the things that, like, as an anarchist, I think about a lot, which is just because the government is doing a thing that I might support, I have to ask myself the question, what happens when the people I don't like get that power?
Yep.
And that tends to be the thing that, like, sure, I'll support X measure to help the poor or whatever, but if the mechanisms they're using to enact that specific act could be used to do the opposite or worse, then I got to question whether I'm okay with those mechanisms existing.
Which is why I don't have a problem with this. Well, I don't have a problem with this mechanism because we know what the worst case is. It's East Palestine.
Yeah.
We know what the worst case is. It's Hogan Pass, so on, so forth. Like, that's just 2 train derailments that cause fucking horrible issues. We could also talk about this prevents trucking of nuclear waste materials across states without permission, all kinds of other things that
we don't even have to go with nuclear waste. You can just go with animal waste because, like, especially
that too. Yeah. Well, I was saying nuclear waste because this is something that happened where I forget if it was one of the states around Arizona that wanted to prevent the nuclear waste from being taken to Yucca Mountain. They just outlawed it going through their state, so they basically have to do a big roundabout way to get it there, and it cost ineffective, and therefore they just stopped that idea for a while.
Yeah.
So, like, this has real effects that not only affect your state, can help benefit neighboring states when their fucking state legislature goes dickhead on you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, you don't want them dumping nuke stuff on you, but they did it anyways. Hey, yeah, we'll help you out. We're going to pass a bill so they can't drive it through our state to bring it to you.
Yep. They have to go around either through Texas or Alabama and hope that either Texas or Alabama
or down to Mexico.
Yeah. Well, but you have to go through a state to get there.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm trying to get at is like to get over to Arizona. You went the wrong way from New Mexico.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm just saying, like,
yeah.
you said surrounding
Other than
states,
that,
so I thought you were talking about Louisiana's, like, surrounding states.
oh yeah. Oh no, well yeah, you took it a step I should have thought of, but yeah, no, and yeah, so this would be a way for you to prevent things like the vinyl ethyl chloride that vinyl ethyl chloride, not ethyl vinyl chloride, that hit East Palestine from going to your ports. You know, those ports, the only thing that keeps your fucking state from sinking into the goddamn ocean because it's the most money that comes into your state outside of federal grants.
Yep.
That thing you want to protect really, really, really bad, Louisiana.
The thing you should protect really, really bad.
And oh yeah, all your fishermen and all of that it protects in doing so as well.
Yeah.
Which is like what is it, another 20% of your fucking state GDP?
Yep.
like come on, like think this through. I get that the morals that you're taught in church tell you that abortion's fucking murder and it needs to be. This will kill people if it's done badly. Pay attention. Do not just celebrate it because you liked it this time.
Hey, you you may end up causing miscarriages before the baby can be born.
Yeah, all kinds of other fucking interesting fucked up shit. Yeah. But I think that because this is really just a moral thing, and ANCOM's right. It is one of these systems that can be abused, but at least historically so far it has been used to protect more than it has been abused. And until it breaks that fucking that benchmark for me, it's still a useful state right that we need to protect.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we'll move on to the next one with the Make America Healthy Again part of the bill that passed.
Fuck you, RFK.
Yeah.
Go on.
Louisiana passed its own package of nutrition reforms. The measure restricts certain food additives in schools, setting nutrition education requirements for healthcare providers, requiring food manufacturers to disclose the use of certain artificial ingredients, and order restaurants to post if they are using seed oils.
Given basically all cooking oils these days are either seed oils or like peanut oil.
We use a lot of different oils, but my point is, it's RFK's absolute fucking obsession with seed oils leading to disease.
Yeah.
Because of a fucking study he misread in 1996 when he was still a good fucking human, back when he still did like fucking good charity work. He misread a fucking study 35 years ago. Oh god, longer than that now. Jesus. You know, he misread a study and he has been absolutely on a tirade against them ever since. This is when good prosecutors go bad. This is that dogged, I'm gonna get you no matter what fucking Elliot Ness energy when you're chasing a windmill. Is why I had the expression I did about this. Now, as much as I hate RFK, we do need to restrict some of the chemicals that we put in American foods. Mm-hmm. There's a reason that they're outlawed. Like, hey, Despy, if you go get Fruit Loops, do they look like your Fruit Loops if you buy them here?
If I get Fruit Loops,
I mean, beyond the fact they cost twice as much.
Well, here's the thing: like, if I go to an import store, they're going to have it, but it's probably not going to be from the United States. It would be a Fruit Loop box from Canada.
Which means it's going to look, the colors are going to look different,
yeah,
etc. Because they outlaw these dyes. Because there are some health deficits to it.
Yep.
I don't want to click on the link to see all the reforms because we'll probably fucking be there for an hour fucking ripping it apart. And that's not the point of what we're doing here. But I have the sneaking suspicion this is RFK's Jamie Oliver moment, and these requirements are bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say it with certainty without digging into him, but he focuses on almost all the wrong things. The only thing he gets right is the food dyes and certain artificial additives that are outlawed in most other first world countries because of the health deficits.
The other thing to keep in mind here is we're talking about Louisiana, which is one of the poorer states within the union. Not the poorest, but one of the poorer states. And they're making all of these requirements for the food, while also the Federal Department of Education is gutting the free school lunch program at the exact same time. Which means that the money that they would have get to subsidize the lunches for people that are poorer within the state they're not getting that money for that. They're getting a block grant, but they're not getting the money allocated specifically for that. And with these regulations, they're increasing the price per lunch per kid at the same time.
Okay, probably. Like I said, I haven't dug into the reforms. If these are done right, I don't have a whole lot of hope that they are. But if these are done right, it could lower the cost. No kid's going to want to fucking eat the food, but it could potentially lower the cost. So I do want to put that out there to be fair. This could be we're going to feed you fucking glue and cardboard type situation. The food will be nutritious, but it's going to taste like shit. No. And lowers the cost, but I don't think so. That's me being as charitable as I can.
They're going to give you glue and cardboard, but that glue and cardboard is going to be infused with like protein powder or vitamin powder.
Well, the reason I say glue and cardboard is that was our nickname for the school chicken sandwiches and the graham cracker that they gave us that had no flavor.
Right.
Yeah. Because if you ate that graham cracker, you would glue your mouth shut.
The other thing is we're talking about schools with this, but there's also talking about restaurants. With this seed oil thing, this is actually going to probably affect a lot of East Asian restaurants because of that, because a majority of them do cook with seed oils.
I'll click this one real quick because he has a specific list of seed oil. Oh, no, it's just another article. Okay, I'll have to go into the bill and find it later. He has a specific list of seed oils that he's apeshit about, and funnily enough, they probably will not affect the Asian restaurants. They're going to hit the Italian restaurants because one of the ones that he has a big issue with is grapeseed oil.
Oh, okay. Well... But
by the way, this whole thing, just so you know, this whole thing on seed oils is bullshit. It's nonsensical fucking obsession.
Yeah.
But like that's why I don't remember all of it. I have to look in to see what passed because his obsession doesn't make sense. Like, so you have to know RFK's particular brand of crazy to track all the shit that he follows.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't follow like a logical chain. Like, we all know he's an anti-vaxxer piece of shit. He focuses on a single ingredient across multiple things with that thimerosal. In this, it's just random seed oils that, I don't know, maybe he doesn't like them. Maybe he read something in GNC magazine. I don't fucking know because it doesn't make any sense. There's no rhyme or reason to them. They don't have the same chemical compounds in them. It's wild.
I wonder if this also means that they're going to force people to not use MSG anymore. In like
all right,
things
I looked up.
Did you find the seed oil list?
Yes. So this is what was in the actual bill passed in Louisiana: canola or rapeseed oil, corn, cottonseed, grapeseed, rice bran, safflower, soybean, and sunflower.
Well,
okay,
sunflower,
so
soybean,
he just
and rice is going to affect your Asian markets, like straight up.
Yeah,
right there.
I was about to say.
Well, okay, so this is
and sunflower affects most of the fried chicken places too nowadays.
They're not actually banning these; they are requiring that restaurants which use them put put a notice on their menu or whatever.
Yeah, that big scarlet A on the front of their building.
Yeah.
I'm aware what they're doing.
Right.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's the same thing of what they did to Jewish butchers back in the 1920s and 30s in the lead up to World War II, where they started to identify that they were kosher because of certain restrictions we placed on these businesses at the city policy level in places like New York, Detroit, Chicago, and suddenly these businesses started drying up once they had a big kosher name above them.
Yep.
All right. So I just want to quickly go through the summary. It's not super long of the bill here. So prohibits school or public and non-public schools that receive funds from the state from serving foods that contain specific ingredients. I can look at the ingredient list in a sec. Requires them to purchase food produced in Louisiana to the extent practicable. Authorizes the board of medical examiners to establish minimum requirements for continuing education for the renewal or reinstatement of any license okay, so basically just minimum requirements for continuing education for permitted, so doctors, nurses, that sort of thing. Physicians and PAs who are in certain specialties. Minimum of 1 hour of continuing education on nutrition and metabolic health every 4 years. I feel like that should probably be higher, actually.
No, because that's 1 credit hour, which isn't 1 hour.
Let's see
but
here.
what's 1 credit hour? 8 classes? Despy, it's been a long time, so I don't remember.
1 credit hour.
It depends on the institution, I think. So
yeah, but it's one of those classes that you don't even necessarily go to every week if it's a 1 credit hour class. It's
probably one you can take online, honestly.
Yeah, I'm just saying that I think it's like an 8 or 10 hour requirement, but it's 1 credit hour, but it's
twice a month.
Yeah, something like that, probably.
I'm just saying, semester is usually 3 to 4 months. You're looking at what is it? Yeah, that's roughly twice a month.
Yeah, this would be like your creative writing classes that you only have to show up when it's time to turn in assignments. Blah 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 blah. These type of classes that you do to fill out your schedule because you don't want to be late for your FAFSA.
But the other thing is, ANCOM is right that each institution changes exactly how they do credit hours at the same time. So
I know. I remember fucking Kaiser and all their bullshit. Yeah, I was just saying basic averages here. I'm not expecting every.
Usually, like state, public universities tend to have a more uniform. But it's when you're going between public and private universities where you see a difference in how they do accreditation.
Yeah, but the reason I don't want to go too far into the ingredients and all that stuff, ANCOM, is because as a chef, I could probably find things for or against either of them, and we're going to be here all day. What I am going to fucking comment on though is food grown primarily in Louisiana. Where does Louisiana get most of their fucking state-grown food from?
I don't actually know.
Prison fucking labor.
Yep. And here's but here's the other thing is that they get that from prison labor, right? And that means that those companies sell the food to the state, right? If it could have been worse because an amendment actually removed a requirement that set that amount to 20%. They removed that just down to the line to the extent practicable. Yeah.
Well, and that's because if you hit a quota and then you have to fine yourself for breaking your own rules, basically they just covered their own ass with that one. But the reality of it is, here's the problem, ANCOM. It really can't get worse. Look into Angola prison, and then we'll Go on,
Yeah,
Desby.
the one thing I wanted to say is that if there isn't a state subsidy to pay for the like the food and whatnot itself on top of this, instead of just forcing it to be sourced within the state, that means that the price per lunch goes up significantly at the same time. And when
Also
price
true.
per lunch goes up significantly, you have kids going without food.
Yep. Or what I fear, and I haven't looked into it, but Louisiana's a lot like my state. They're going to expect the kids to grow the food at the schools.
Oh God.
Would
Oh
yeah.
God. Can you imagine?
Now
can you imagine?
we don't do that here
No.
yet, although I fear it may be coming.
Yeah.
But here we do a lot of like ag stuff, and I know Louisiana has a lot of that too. We have already removed all age requirements and the ability for employers to even require proof of age and proof of employment eligibility from hiring practices if Louisiana follows suit.
But
And I don't know if they have or haven't.
But that's been on the books since like before the 50s. Like they haven't changed that rule at all. Like quite literally, like for when it comes to actually like picking crops in fields, like 12 is the age. This is one of the few jobs inside the United States where like child labor laws do not protect you at all. And the whole thing is the reasoning they put behind this was so that farm kids could work on their family farms and be considered employees at the same time. And what it ended up happening is they kept it the way it was so that they could have undocumented immigrants come in and basically fill those roles with children.
But that has a minor difference to it, because what they are doing is still technically illegal. It's just not enforced.
Yeah.
What I am talking about is my state has completely made it illegal for an employer to ask for proof of age. Illegal. You can get fined if you ask for it. And they lowered the minimum age to 13.
Well, it's already set at 12 federally.
That's for farm. This is for everything.
Oh, okay.
This is
okay.
This is putting 13-year-olds in overnight shifts in meat packing plants, Desby.
Ugh.
We've already had kids maimed over at the Ozark Mountain Poultry Plant because of it.
Yeah. Yeah, well.
So, or wait, hold on. I don't want to be slanderous. I don't remember if it was OMP or Tyson. They're literally fucking like a block apart. I don't remember which one it was. They're in the same goddamn city, like a block apart.
Right. Well, aren't there like quite literally just 4 meat packers in the United States, and everything else is basically a subsidiary of one of those 4 meat packers anyway?
I think it's different for each type of meat packing. I think what you're referring to is cattle, but I think you are right on cattle.
Tyson is one of the 4.
I think chicken, I think there's only 3, not 4. I think 4 is cattle. And then when it gets to fish, we have, I think, 6.
Yeah.
And that's because of the different regions of fish, of like freshwater, saltwater,
I was
Atlantic,
talking more
etc.
like livestock farm animals sort of thing, not necessarily fisheries.
You're talking to a chef, so when you start talking meat packing, and meat packing's everything.
Right.
That's all I'm getting at is like I think it's only 3 now for chicken. You'd have to double check me, but I think we lost one of the 4 back in the 90s.
No. What I'm saying is that there are 4 like major meat packers in the United States, and like so you have like Cargill, you have Tyson is another one, you have
Meriton,
yeah, and then there's one other one that I'm missing. There's a 4th one that I'm missing, and like they all focus on like what is it, if I'm not mistaken, Cargill focuses on beef, The other one that's a big one that I just blanking right now is like pork based, and then you have Tyson, which focuses on chicken. And I'm wondering if one of these other ones is a subsidiary of
they are all the barons of each, but
Yeah.
each one of those industries also have like top threes. That's why I'm saying they're top three, top four. And that's why I'm saying is each one of them is technically an independent industry, because the rules for packing pork and the rules for packing chicken, the rules for packing fish, and the rules for packing beef are all completely fucking different from each other. Yeah. Like even the sanitation fucking requirements are different.
Of course.
Well, I mean, but like even the sanitation requirements on things like your packaging. Yeah. Like you can't even use the same cleaners on the plastics and shit. It's wild.
I know.
Well, I'm saying this for the audience, not for you. That's what I'm getting at. It's like, and that's why we talk about the biggest. That's more of our corpo America shit. But like when somebody like me has to order from wholesalers, I do have more than just Cargill to pick from. Like I could pick Spurlock, or I could pick Maritime. There's other big cattlemen packers as well. It just depends on your region within the country, etc. But Cargill is the biggest.
I'm going to move on.
Cargill's also the one that's international, which is why we focus on it. But go on.
I'm going to move on to the insurance section. So, despite facing stiff opposition from the insurance industry and pushback from Republican lawmakers, Landry succeeded in passing legislation giving the state's insurance commissioner more authority to block auto insurance rate increases by companies. Other passed bills aim to limit the damages for people involved in vehicle accidents, such as barring damages to cover injuries for the driver primarily responsible for the crash.
Okay, two things. One, another one of these things that's actually a double-edged sword. This is good because Louisiana was getting hit with some of the most ridiculous price hikes. It wasn't like their cars were even in danger, like some places like Florida and shit like that. They were just getting price hikes, so it's kind of good. But
hey, you know something? Those prices go up when you have more swamp kitties near the road. Okay.
This is not what I'm arguing about. My issue with this is this is also probably, if they did not, because I haven't read the bill, so I don't know. If they did not include a provision that prevents pullout, this is going to result in the same thing that happened in Southern California and fucking Florida, and the insurance companies are just going to start leaving.
Yeah.
And for those of you who are watching from Louisiana, I'm sorry, you're going to have to get your insurance from fucking someplace in the Cayman Islands now, like the fucking General or something. Like, that's what this is going to come down to if it goes wrong.
Yep.
And let's be honest, Landry's a mixed bag. I honestly think if he wasn't such a ghoul and so fucking parochial, I'd swear he rolls a D20 on every decision he makes. Like he's not enough of a nerd. He's really not. But otherwise, because of how random his success rate is, it really is like he's rolling a die. That being said, the last part of this, insurance should cover anybody involved in the wreck.
Yeah.
The person who is primarily responsible should be the one covering the majority of the medical bills. This preventing it from damages from the driver primarily responsible is basically a way to bankrupt more Louisianans.
Yep.
That's stupid. That makes no sense. It doesn't make sense from a Republican standpoint. It doesn't make sense from a libertarian standpoint.
Hey.
Doesn't make sense from a leftist standpoint. Like this is just one of those things. I have no idea why he's doing it.
When you have more people you need to work the farms, I mean, you got to find ways to get them there.
Well, he hasn't included debtors' prisons yet. So I mean, I'll lay off of the Art Bell moment just a little bit.
So okay. I'm gonna say this is one step removed from debtor's prison. But when you're in heavy debt,
you're not wrong.
When you're in heavy debt and you have everything being garnished and taken away from you, what do you do to stay above water? You
like
tell
I said,
and you're poor.
Like I
a
said,
poorer state.
Yeah, but I don't want to attribute Landry with that level of Machiavellian intelligence, because otherwise I have to reevaluate everything I've ever thought about that thumb with hair.
Hey, I'm not saying that he did it. I'm saying that there might be a lobbyist from Geo Group that came in and said, hey, maybe you should do this.
And this is why I wish I had a soundboard, because I'd be playing the Coast to Coast fucking theme song right now, because we're in slight conspiracy territory now. Now,
Right.
Here's the thing. You may be right, but I want to put that caveat, at least based on current evidence,
Right.
this is a certain level of conspiracy.
I will fully admit that this is a conspiracy. But if
it's one of those that could turn out to be real.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that isn't like what is it, like the moon landing was faked level of conspiracy.
Yeah, this isn't Bob Lazar and Element 115 fucking spinning, creating anti-gravity. This is, wait, we did do a false flag attack on Cuba? Shit.
Yeah.
We did that shit, and we released the fucking classified documents later, and everyone's like, oh fuck, wait, really?
Right. All right, Jack, you're up next.
It could be one of those.
Immigration,
okay.
Unless Ancom, you have something to add to this as well.
No, don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, he's in Massachusetts. He already deals with shitty fucking auto insurance laws.
he also deals with mass holes, which is also just as bad as dealing with insurance.
Yeah, honestly, like in the couple of times I've had to deal with insurance, I think the one time I've had to deal with insurance on like an actual impact with another car, it was technically our fault anyway, and there was no injury. Beyond that, it's just been like damage to the car due to like weather conditions. Like at one point, roads were icy and ended up side.
Just hope to God you never get into an accident that's actually your fault, because New England sucks. Just saying, like Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, not places I would ever want to get into a car crash in. Just saying.
Yeah, fair.
Hey, I'm just saying, if you were anywhere near where the Big Dig was in Boston, yeah, that is not any place you want to be. I am used to driving through big cities, and when I went to visit there with somebody that I was dating at the time and drove through there, I was literally like hands gripped on the side of the vehicle because I was that scared. And I had already
You feel the same way in Little Rock.
Are you talking about in the tunnel?
No, it hadn't been completed yet because this was still
this was back in the 90s.
Hadn't been completed.
Yeah, this was still the Big Dig. Yeah, that's why you use the term the Big Dig.
Yeah.
This is back when it wasn't a tunnel, it was a hole in the ground.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure if you were talking about like during the Big Dig or after it was completed.
During the Big Dig.
Okay. Yeah.
By the way, you don't get the luxury of blaming it on road construction here. Just drive through Little Rock. There are places where there's like 10-story buildings that are so close, if you were to veer a little too far right in your lane, it's taking your mirror off.
Hey, I'm telling you right now, I have ridden in a taxi through downtown Taipei, and Boston is worse.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Out of all the places I've ever driven, Huntsville, Alabama, Boston, Massachusetts, Bangor, Maine, for some fucking reason. It's like those people have never learned any fucking road consideration, and fucking Little Rock. Little Rock
yeah,
is
like,
absolutely fucking
as-
terrifying.
As someone who used to drive through the streets of Boston semi-regularly, I don't do it so much now. But yeah, like, I feel like that has prepared me to drive in almost any environment, although Manhattan still scares the shit out of me to drive in.
You shouldn't, because for some reason, even though they're bigger assholes, even though there's more people, even though the roads are tighter, traffic flows better. And there's less accidents.
Better.
And there's less accidents per capita.
Yeah, traffic flows better because they actually designed their city as opposed to picking up from, trails that horses trod around farms.
Well, I mean, there's that, but it's also, could you imagine Boston if it was gridded out like fucking NYC? It would be so boring.
Boring, yes. A lot easier to drive in, though.
Have you been down to Quincy Market before? And, like, driven on the roads down there? It is absolutely nuts. Like, just nuts.
Yeah, no, the government center region of Boston is easily the worst one I have come across to drive in because
Quincy's,
all the streets are tiny, they're super short, so there's just a ridiculous number of intersections. It is horrid.
Getting
to drive.
Getting to Quincy Market is a lot like seeking the Holy Grail. The only people that know where it is are those that have been there.
Yes, that too. But on to this stupid shit. So, lawmakers passed a package of legislation that expands the state's role in immigration enforcement and promises cooperation with federal efforts. Louisiana. One bill would make it a crime for law enforcement agents or public officials to obstruct federal law enforcement. It already is. Another measure requires state agencies to verify and report anyone illegally. Okay, Louisiana, you can't even do bigotry right. All of the things that you made a crime were already crimes.
Yeah, but they were crimes on the federal level. You had to make them on the state level.
Hey,
too.
hey, hey, Jack. Maybe next they should pass a law to make it so that Sharia law cannot be instituted in the state at any level.
Well, no, I get that, but no, my point is income. Obstruction of law enforcement, whether they are federal or local, is already a state crime in all 50 states and Puerto Rico. That is already a state law in every fucking state.
And territory.
That's what I mean. Like, literally both things, at least in this blurb, that they made a crime, were already a fucking crime. And the requirement they made a requirement was already a fucking requirement because they're not a sanctuary state.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm not saying you're wrong. I was mostly joking, but yeah.
I know, but it's just like, they can't even do bigotry right. What the hell?
I'm trying to think, like, right now, where, like report anyone who in the U.S. who is, like, receiving, like, state services, like, illegally. Anyone illegally in the United States, like, getting state services. The majority of them, you really can't, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, no, I mean, here's the thing. To be fair to the bigoted Republicans, as much as I hate having to do this, my fucking compulsion. There are certain states that allow undocumented immigrants to receive funds. I believe it's only 3. California, New York, and I think South Dakota, because of that. Because it's overlap with this would apply to res jumpers, people who leave the res, is why I think South Dakota has it in their laws. I'd have to check. I want to say it's some weird state is the third one, and I want to say it's South Dakota, but I could be wrong. Because the two obvious ones are obvious as to why they do it. I mean, these are both sanctuary states, not just sanctuary cities within those states. I want to say the third one goes back to like Native American fucking like arguments as to why it's still on the books. It's like one of those old laws, like only mail trucks can run red lights. Oh, you need to go out, Barbie? 1 second.
Yep.
Ugh. But
only male trucks. Why not female trucks?
The answer to that was a good joke. It was a good joke.
No, I only did that because Despy didn't.
Yeah.
It was a good joke regardless, but more my point was, like, and for those of you in the audience who are actually curious, it goes back to when mail was the primary modality of communication.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As to why we had this.
Yep.
That's why there's that old expression. If you watch like old movies and stuff, you'll hear people quote, "Neither rain nor sleet nor hail shall stop the U.S. mail," is because that is not just a slogan on the side of a fucking truck. That is quite literally the law of the land.
Well,
nothing outside of extreme inclement weather that is going to basically put mail carriers' lives at risk is technically allowed to legally stop federal mail delivery.
Well, but the other thing is that goes all the way back to the Pony Express. That is not even just trucks. You're going back to like horse-driven mail.
Yeah, this goes literally all the way back to when the USPS was first set up.
Yep.
I think it was 1790s.
Yep.
Like, it's a long fucking time ago.
It was.
If it's not the 1790s, it's the early 1800s.
Yeah, they set it up before the Old West was the Old West.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, this is just one of those things, and that's why that's there. As to the immigration thing, they already did this, so this was feel-good bigotry. That's all this legislation was, unless there is some. I mean, the AP is usually pretty good. No, you're right. But what I'm saying is the AP is usually pretty good, but maybe there's some little idiosyncrasy in the bill that's not being shown in the blurb here that is important that we're missing. And I'll look into it after we get done, like streaming about this. But it really just feels like feel-good legislation. This is like banning bump stocks in California. Good luck buying the thing you need a fucking bump stock to in the first place. Okay. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not really opposed to banning bump stocks, but banning bump stocks in California was just like, why? Why waste the ink on paper? like really?
Hey, like I said, it's because like wasting the ink on paper in Texas, where they tried to ban Sharia law being implemented inside Texas.
And for those of you who don't remember this was I think 2011 that they tried to do this or did do this.
This was after that attack after that person posted that painting of Muhammad.
Yeah, and I think that's either 2010 or 2011. I just don't remember exactly what year.
I honestly want to say it was like 2016, in all honesty, because I was already in Japan at the time, and this was after I was married, and I got married in 2014.
Then maybe they tried passing it before this, and the time that you remember is when they finally got it over the goal line. Because I seem to remember this happening back in like 2010, 2011 too. And I remember going, name me a city, name me a county, name me any enclave region of any part of this country that's in danger of coming under Sharia law. Please.
Dearborn, Michigan.
As somebody from Detroit, no. I know, but for those of I know, but for those people in the audience, I'm from Detroit. I'm a bald white guy. I could walk through fucking Dearborn, no fucking problem. In fact, I'd probably be treated like one of the nicest fucking times on earth. It'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
Like Sharia law, fuck no. Some of those girls are gonna be dressed like they're straight out of fucking Vogue magazine.
Yep.
Like it.
All right. Once you grab the next two, then there.
Remember, Dearborn is one of those places that is praised because of how well they have assimilated.
Yeah. I'm not even just talking assimilation. It's they do not practice, at least majority. I'm sure there's some, but they do not primarily practice a fundamentalist version of Islam that hold all of like the dress code restrictions and all that. Women can choose to do it, and they may be viewed as virtuous for doing so, but it is not like an automatic, oh my god, you're going to hell, nobody's ever going to hire you if you get caught wearing a miniskirt once type shit, like it is in some places in Europe with their Muslim enclave issues.
Yep.
Like we don't have that issue here in the States. There's a lot of reasons for it. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. But like we don't run into those issues here with immigrant enclaves.
Well,
you might have a problem if you don't speak the language, but usually not dress codes.
It depends.
Usually,
it depends on the enclave, because the thing is that like there were a lot of refugees from Somalia in the 90s that came to Minneapolis, St. Paul area, and a lot of them live in communities that are of that group there, and they are not strictly fundamentalist, but more fundamentalist than those that would be in Dearborn. And they do have particular restrictions within that community based on certain rules.
Like I said, usually this doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It's not that it never happens. It just usually doesn't. Like another example that's less scary for those of you with a little bit of Islamophobia, fuck you if you do. The Hasidic Jews in upstate New York have the same issue with restrictions on dress code, even for visitors, etc. So like this is not a universally Muslim or Christian or Jewish thing. It's very rare of any enclave community to do this in America because we're so big. We're so there's so much communication, even amongst like isolationist communities like the Amish. It's almost impossible for it to avoid some kind of melding process.
Well,
it's why we're called the Great Melting Pot.
Well, but there's really no way for like the people of Dearborn, or even the people like the Somali community of the Twin Cities, or even those Hasidic Jews, to completely isolate themselves within themselves. Like they have to go out into the world to get necessities to even bring back to that enclave.
I mean, that city in upstate New York is pretty close to fully insular, but even them, they can't do it. Yeah.
Right. But I mean, even the Amish, like you take the most like conservative isolationist groups of Amish people, and they still have to come into town to get supplies to in order to do the work that they do, and they still have to interact with people on a regular basis.
Well, that, and they sell out their workmanship to build barns and stuff like that because they build some of the best goddamn structures in the area.
Well, not only that, is that they get it done really, really quick. Like you give them specifications of what you want. Like they're not going to put the electrical up for you, but they're going to build it in a way so you could put all the electrical in.
No, I have to correct you there. They'll even put all the conduit in. They just won't run the wire.
Well,
all you have to do is pull wire through the conduit. They literally will even put all the boxes in for you. It's fucking great.
Yeah, no, that's what I was getting at, was pulling the wire. That was the.
Oh, well, what did you say? Run the electrical. Usually that's everything involved. But yeah, they do everything but put the wire in place for you.
Right.
It's great. And they charge you like usually 10 to 20% less than the average builder in the area.
Right. Well, that's part of the rules of being Amish, is that you have to be honest with the amount of work of everything that you're putting in. Like, this is why when it comes to like particular like craftsmanship, when you look at like if someone makes a handcrafted table or a handcrafted like rocking chair or whatnot, and you see that it's like super, super expensive, that's because it was handcrafted and the person calculated the total number of hours that it took to make that chair. Mm-hmm. Like, they're not overcharging you for that chair. They're charging you for the hours of work that went into that chair.
Yep. For those of you around the country, anytime you go to a farmer's market and you see that $300 rocking chair at one end of the farmer's market, this is why.
Yeah.
Because 300? They spent hours put...
300?
Yeah, this is them steaming the wood instead of carving it.
No. I mean like that's pretty damn cheap.
Yeah, because steaming it is so much faster. You can do a big steamer box and mass produce as opposed to carving, which you have to do one at a time.
Well, are you talking about also like lacquering? Are you also talking about staining it at the same time too? Because like,
no, usually at the farmer market they leave it bare so that you can finish it because it's a project. Because everybody likes their little DIY projects when they go to the farmer's market. You know that. And not to mention, it makes their job easier because they don't have to sit around with lacquer in their house fucking curing for days before they take it to the next farmer's market. Yeah. They just get it done, sand it, put it in the pile.
All right, let's move on to the next stuff here.
Yep. Who's next to read?
You're up with ethics and the IVF treatment. And
okay.
Then we'll switch over to...
I'll take it real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. Lawmakers overwhelmingly approved a bill written by the governor's personal attorney that makes it harder for state ethic board to investigate allegations of wrongdoing or file charges against elected officials.
Yeah, that's
shocker.
Oh wow, yeah. This is a
for those of you who are
bill.
Yeah. Well, but there's that, but it's also Louisiana, what are you doing that's so fucked up that when the police investigate themselves or investigate you, that you're worried about them finding anything? Because that's what usually happens, right? Like, how bad are you that you're worried about this?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I have to ask with this. I'm not shocked, but I'm also like, what are you doing? Like, the cops investigate themselves like 12 times a year on average, and they always fucking come up roses unless there's body cam footage. Like, right. Like, come on now. Like,
Well, and when the body cam footage does come out, those roses are covered in piles of shit.
and they usually still try to sell them to them as at full price. But
spray it with
more my
water.
Point is,
it's still good. It's still good.
Yeah, but this is my point. Is like, what the fuck are you doing? That this is a problem.
Yeah,
because I'm from Detroit. My former mayor is literally in fucking prison because he stole billions of dollars. What the fuck are you doing that you're worried about? He was the mayor. He controlled that fucking police department. They were wrapped around his finger. It took the Stadies coming in, actually, I think it was the Stadies and the feds that finally caught Kwame. What are you doing? Because like this, harder for state ethics boards to investigate allegations of wrongdoing or file charges. Okay, so you don't want them to investigate, so you don't even want them to be able to look. But all of this stuff is a matter of public record. So you're only really restricting these particular state agencies. I will be able to, as a member, I'm not even a fucking resident of your state, go and fucking apply for FOIA requests, get all of this documentation. I can just fucking hand it to them. What are you gonna fucking do? Like, this doesn't make sense. This is like, it feels like feel good, but I want to look at the wording because there might be something in here that's essentially like chilling effect.
Hey, you never know.
It doesn't make it harder. It makes it penalizable.
You could have Landry try to take and, pay for a lectern that is way more expensive than it actually needs to be, and do an investigation into them.
No. All I was getting at though is it just doesn't seem, unless there's joke? Some work. The fucking NASA fucking spend more on something. Yeah.
No.
Oh, where were you going?
No. The whole thing with Sarah Huckabee Sanders as the governor, where she tried to she tried to pay for a specific lectern, so that she could give addresses, and then she said that it costed like $10,000, and the most expensive one that was close to the price that was it was supposed to be was something that was like 2,000.
Yeah. Well, that's because commercial, and I should have picked up on it, my fucking governor.
Yeah.
The one that she wanted was made by one of her rich furniture maker friends.
Right.
And basically, as much as I hate to say it, and she shouldn't have spent the money on it, like this isn't my issue with that. Handcrafting things like that, as we were talking about with those rocking chairs, when you start getting into somebody who's making shit out of tiger wood burl and shit, and fucking doing everything by hand, that shit gets real expensive real quick.
Yeah.
But she shouldn't spend that much money on a fucking lectern. That's fucking stupid.
The issue was that the image and stuff that she gave for the lectern that she was that she said that she had paid for was something that was like $2,000 like commercially, but she like spent like $10,000 on like a.
And she may have stole it. She may not have. I don't care. She steals money constantly.
Yeah.
These couple of grand, it's probably paying her parking tickets in other states.
That was just a joke that I was trying to make.
You got me. I thought you were going with the NASA joke of
no.
$40,000 on a hammer, $30,000 on a toilet seat,
$90,000 for a package of nails.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong. I know certain fasteners are expensive as shit because they have to be custom made and but like. $40,000 for a fucking piece of aluminum made into a hammer / pry bar / fucking screwdriver thingamajob. No, dude. No, bullshit. I could go buy one of them bitches at fucking Home Depot made out of steel. Why do I need to fucking... Why is the aircraft grade aluminum so fucking expensive?
I could buy all the equipment that I need to make it and then make it
for less. Yeah, for less than that. Yeah,
less than that.
I could literally, yeah, you're right. I could literally go buy a fucking metal CNC machine for less than that and fucking make it out of the block of aluminum. Like it's like that was where I thought you were going with it. Was just the exorbitant waste to do that. And I'll do IVF now because it's quick. In efforts to avoid what happened in Alabama, lawmakers passed a bill that protected in vitro fertilization from criminal charges and lawsuits. Good job. You finally did something right, Louisiana.
The bar was this low, and you did this.
I mean, but like seriously, like Alabama in their haste to be fucking monsters actually started fucking over like normal doctors that weren't even doing the shit that they had an issue with.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good thing that they're doing. As much as I actually have a problem with the way we do IVF in this country, that's a policy thing, not a mechanism thing. So like, not really the point of this conversation. Like we should actually commend Landry on this one.
Mm-hmm.
This is when he rolled that nat 20, or nat 1, depending on what he was trying to do. Like we'll figure it out later. But like this is actually a good thing for the providers of Louisiana, because like that fucking that doctor in fucking Alabama who was potentially facing 35 years, like that shit that. I know she was fine. I know they eventually dropped the charges. But that had to be the most terrifying week of that woman's life.
Yeah. All I'm going to say is that instead of saying Nat 20 and Nat 1, we'll just say that the DC was so low it was hard to fail.
Well, but my point is it depends on what he was trying. If he was trying to be a shitty version of Alabama, like and just like be performative, he failed, and this is his Nat 1. If he was actually trying to protect Louisiana doctors, which... let's be honest, broken clock right twice a day. He could have actually had that intent. Then it was a nat 20.
Yeah.
And either way, this is a good thing for fucking Louisiana doctors and Louisiana patients.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, in all honesty, like I said, that woman, she didn't go to jail, but she spent a couple nights in jail, like holding, and she was potentially facing 35 years to life. That's a lot of time to be considering potentially being locked in a 6x8 like that. as somebody who's been to jail, you don't want to be, and prison's a whole lot worse.
One thing I will say about this, and I know that Rich would have probably pointed it out if he was here, is the fact that IVF treatment is not condoned by the Catholic Church.
It's not condoned by proclamation. You're right, but Francis did relent on it in his wording on talking about it.
Yep.
And we don't know if Bob is going to follow suit, but it seems like he will.
Right. I just thought I'd throw that out there because I knew that Rich would probably say something.
No, and I wish he was here too. Although if Rich was here, we'd be doing Dante instead of this. So, so we wouldn't have got to this. So. But immaterial. No, you're right. They've softened their language at least over the last pope, maybe this pope as well.
Yeah.
Bob may end up being okay on the subject. He may even do an encyclical on the subject and make it proclamatory. Okay, or proclaim it okay is the way I should have said that. But either way, we should actually applaud Landry. Small golf clap. He did a good thing here. And honestly, like I said, as much as I hate these people, as much as like I hate the things that these people stand for, we got to reach out to them. That's why, like in all my videos and all of my articles, like, guys, come back from the edge. Like, I get it. You hate gay people. I get it. You hate abortion. For fuck's sake, stop shooting yourself in the goddamn foot, then the other foot, then the hand before realizing you made a mistake. Like, dial it back a little, guys. And this is one of those times when it looks like that's what they're doing.
Please don't check the barrel.
Yeah. Yes, please. And this is my point, because like there is a lot of Republicans who were more like my dad and didn't care a jot or tittle about any of this bullshit.
Yeah.
All he wanted the government to do was stop spending so much fucking money and getting involved in so many foreign wars.
Yep.
I'm sure there's plenty of the right wingers who thumbs down our shit, who fucking watch us, who are the same way. If you're the same way, fight with us, because I'd rather have you guys back than these fucking lunatics.
It's like, hey, I'm pretty sure all three of us could argue where areas of the government need budget cuts. You are, and when it comes to tax cuts, I say this to people all the time. I have never met a tax cut for anybody who makes under $100,000 a year that I didn't like.
I mean, there's a few I didn't like, but that's because of where the tax cut money was going to end up.
I'm just saying.
Other than that, I agree with you.
Yeah.
In general, other than that, I agree with you.
If you make under $100,000 a year, I've never met a tax cut for you that I didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
And conversely,
and this is,
if you make over $500,000...
Actually, yeah, I was about to say. You
conversely,
just hit it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah, and conversely, I've never met a tax increase for someone who makes over $500,000 a year I didn't like.
Yeah, and you hit the benchmark. I was going to say, I'd say anybody who makes anything less than $500,000 a year, I'd probably agree with your tax cuts, because that's most small business owners and shit like that too. Like, yeah, I'd probably agree with tax cuts for that too, even just under $500,000. Because that's the reality of it. Most of the shit you have been told by us on the left is a fucking lie.
Yeah.
Or you've listened to the blue hair screaming person on fucking Twitter, because that's what came across your Twitter feed.
Yeah.
Like it was, yes, we have crazy people just like you do.
It was algorithmically selected for you just to trigger your anger receptors. So that's literally all it was.
I mean, we can blame it on that, but let's just say, for the sake of argument, it's because of who you follow, blah, 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 blah. It's your own damn fault. It's not any of the platforms doing it. It's your own fault for what... Okay, not all of us are fucking crazy. I condemn those fucking jackasses too, because they have some wild fucking ideas.
Yep.
Like, oh, we're going to just kill taxes for everyone. Are you fucking high? Oh, I know you are, but you're fucking stupid too.
Yeah.
But this is my point. Like, fight with us, because I'd rather have you, the more Reaganite conservatives, back than these fucking lunatics we're dealing with now.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because these people are hurting you and us. They're not just coming after us. This is shit that's going to hurt you guys too.
Hey, this shit is gonna hurt you so bad. They're gonna say that you are us.
Yeah, especially when you complain about it, like they did to that, like that Republican fucking governor who just got fucking pasted by MAGA because he complained about the shit that MAGA's doing, and he got called a communist.
Yep.
This motherfucker is so far from communist, Mao would have looked at him and vomited. Like, it's stupid as fucking shit. Like, yeah, please come back to reality.
I mean, he would have.
You can call me as a communist fucking crazy. Do I sound more? Well, but this is my point. Like, you know, like, I'm a communist. Do I sound more sane than the people that you're voting for recently? If so, Jack, you might want to check yourself.
You sound more sane than most of the
Democrats too.
Democrats.
I know.
So that's not saying
that was that was a universal statement to right and left, because the reality is we need to fight all of the dickheads. I hate fucking Nancy Pelosi as much as you dickheads on the right do. Probably not for the same exact reasons, because I don't think she's a lizard person, but she is a fucking scumbag.
No. I haven't ruled that out
like,
yet, but
like when like when the top Democrat in the House of Representatives says we're capitalists and we're going to continue trading on the stock market because that's how a free market works, I'm just like,
well, and you know how I feel about fucking landlords, and she's a landlord, so.
Yeah,
well. Oh yeah, fair.
Well, all I'm going to say is that I have made plenty of jokes, and you can actually go and look through our videos, and I've made plenty of shorts and plenty of jokes against Democrats. Because
and I haven't had the opportunity yet, because mainly the stuff I focus on, the Democrats don't fuck around with. They don't. In fact, they avoid fucking the separation of church and state like the goddamn plague. They don't even want to talk about it. So I haven't had the opportunity to shit on a Democrat for this yet. But trust me, when they fuck up, I will.
I made a whole video.
Well, the problem right now. The problem right now is the fact that they aren't talking about it when it needs to fucking be talked about.
Well, no. But the thing is they're relying on precedential laws in place to do it for them. Mm-hmm. They don't want to spend the political capital. I'd rather them not
like how
fight.
They did, like how they dealt with abortion.
And that one they fucked up on. On a lot of others, it has saved our fucking ass. Like Tennessee, Kentucky, Ohio.
They fucked up on that one continuously for the last 30 plus years. Almost
60.
40. Well,
I'd say
no.
Since they should have codified it within the first 3 years of it passing of the SCOTUS decision.
No, but what I'm saying is that Reagan was the era in which they should have that should have been like pants on fire. They should have started working on that.
Okay, that I'll agree with you on. But technically, this should have been fucking codified before '69.
No, what I'm saying is when it became a campaign.
That was what was promised.
No, what I'm saying is when it became a campaign tool for them to basically get money, that's where it became a problem.
I'm going to be honest with you. You're right that Reagan was the pants on fire moment. This is not my quibbling on that. But that started the second row past. And that's why I'm saying they should have codified it before the end of the decade, because then all of this shit would have been fucking sorted.
Yeah.
And then we would have been quibbling over policy length as opposed to anything else.
Right. But what I'm getting at is that the reason why they didn't, and no president would touch it, is because it's how they brought it's fear mongering and campaign financing.
On both sides.
Yeah.
Agreed. Both sides used it as a fucking windmill.
No.
For us to tilt at.
Yeah. This is one of those things where I absolutely hate the both sides argument with it. It's because I know that there is an argument for both sides, but I hate it because saying that you're going to destroy something and then like chipping away at it over time is one thing. But saying that you're going to fix something and then never fucking doing it is an entirely different thing.
Oh, trust me, you remember we weren't streaming, and I'm kind of glad we weren't. And FOFA didn't exist at the time. The things I said when Roe was overturned would have got our channel removed from YouTube.
Yeah.
It would have got our channel removed from Kick.
Yeah.
So, trust me, I am definitely on your side for blaming the Democrats on that, for dragging their feet. But it was, the reason I say it is both sides is because the second the Republicans started to fundraise on it, the Democrats started to fundraise on it. And then it became an arms race of fundraising. And then they were like, well, shit, if we get rid of this, where's all our funding coming from? Because of the way we fucking tie money in politics, and we never fucking put a cap on like.
You say dragging their feet. I say dragging a dying or a rotting corpse. So,
I mean, tomato at that point. I mean, their feet were the corpses.
Yeah.
They should have been amputated. They have gangrene. You know, we could work this analogy all kinds of ways.
Right. All right.
But my point is yeah. But that's my issue with it. But this is what I think this is going to be as well. It's going to be another one of these battle points, and therefore we, as people, right and left voters, have to hold both of our politicians accountable to prevent both of them from doing this shit again. Because this is where it leads us.
And there's no way to hold them accountable if you say the other side has to hold theirs accountable first.
Yep. Which is why he swings at what was it, our third video we took a swing at Hakeem Jeffries?
Oh, it was our third video, my second video.
Yeah, like we have no problem fucking calling out the feckless fucking Democrats and their useless fucking shit, and call out the good Democrats who are actually doing the right shit. Just like right now, before we move on to campaign funding and income reading, I'm going to point out, good job, Landry. You protected your doctors. You did what you're supposed to do.
Yep.
I wouldn't vote for you, but I'll give you the golf clap, and I'd give you a handshake for this one, because this is important. This saves lives, like literally saves lives, because like people don't realize that like IVF also deals with like some other things like ectopic pregnancies and a few other things when they try to transplant the pregnancies to prevent an abortion. Because if you have an ectopic pregnancy and you don't try to transplant it to the uterus, you have to abort it.
Yeah.
So this also protects people who are trying to prevent their own necessary abortion due to a medical complication.
The other thing is,
now, those are rarely successful, but at least this protects those people. Go on.
Like I was saying before, when he said that the vegetables or whatever, the food processing and whatnot needs to be bought in state, I think that's a fantastic thing. If there isn't a subsidy to actually pay for that from the state itself, and it raises the cost per meal, then it's an issue.
And my only reason with it being a thing at all in Louisiana is because of what I know of Louisiana's food chain. Well, all of their prisons. Angola is just the easiest one to find information about because there's been so many documentaries about it. But the for those of you in Louisiana who don't realize this, most of the food that your state buys for like state programs for like schools, prisons, hospitals, etc., I think it's like 52% is grown by prisoners. Quite literally modern slave labor. They are paying these people like 27 cents an hour, with people on horseback riding around them with fucking shotguns.
Well, and rifles,
Well, yeah, the rifles are usually on the back of the cars rather than the truck or the horses. But yeah, you're right. Like these people are literally under constant threat of death if a guard thinks they are doing something untoward.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say, he's like, you can you can crap on like prison labor all you want about saying like it's like restitution and whatnot. If you've never been out in that humidity for 8 hours plus hours a day, picking, weeding, and doing all the things necessary to grow crops, you do not know what kind of hellscape that is, especially in Louisiana.
Especially, yeah, I was about to say where they have mosquitoes large enough to fucking count as small Cessnas.
I don't know. We had those in Minnesota too, but I mean,
yeah, I'm not arguing. Anywhere around the Great Lakes, we had that shit too. So I'm with you.
Land of 10 trillion mosquitoes. So
yeah, I'm with you. And Louisiana's, you guys got the fucking swamp. You got the same fucking problem.
Swamp.
And this is kind of my point. This is kind of what I'm pointing to is, I can appreciate prison labor like they do in Colorado. Even like they do in Ohio. Ohio's a red state where they pay them minimum wage, and that payment pays for their room and board, because this is something you may not know. We charge our prisoners per day. Not only are they in jail, we charge them like it's a fucking hotel room.
If I remember correctly, it's $38 a day for a private
Depends
prison.
on the state and the jail.
No, in Louisiana. If I remember correctly from the video that I put out with Landry, it's $38 a day for private prisons, and then it's $50 a day for state prisons inside of Louisiana specifically.
No, and thank you for clarifying, because it depends on like in Florida, it depends on the fucking county.
Yeah.
How much you get charged. So like we're putting them in jail, charging you, the taxpayer, for the right to put them in jail, to pay for them to be in jail, and then charging them as well. You don't get any of that money back. That money goes back into the jail.
Yeah.
So this is literally them double dipping, and then also using them as slave labor instead of... I'm not expecting them to get paid $15 an hour. I'm not expecting them to get paid competitive wages, but federal minimum wage, so that could go towards the room and board that we shouldn't be charging them, but do, so that when they get out of jail, they're not fucking thousands of dollars in debt, and therefore more inclined to go back to fucking crime. Like, come on, let's fix the fucking problems, not just fucking punish people for shit that they are literally having no control over. But go on, campaign funding.
Yep. Income?
Oh, yep, sorry. Okay. Sorry, my ADD all over the place.
Yeah, and we got off on the tangent again about prison labor because Louisiana sucks. But go on, campaign funding.
Yeah. All right. Lawmakers raised the disclosure thresholds for campaign finance matters, meaning less information will be shared with the public about donations they receive and their spending of donations. Excuse me. They also expanded the ways elected officials' campaigns funds could be spent, including on Mardi Gras celebrations in D.C. That's amazing. I mean, obviously it's horrible, but I
actually, that's the one part I don't have a problem with.
The Mardi Gras
really being able to spend campaign funds. Campaign.
Yeah, because that is them lobbying on behalf of people, like especially if we're talking gubernatorial, on behalf of their state to people in D.C. Yeah, I don't have an issue with that. The rest of it, I do. The rest of it, the non-disclosure, the lack of transparency, that I have a problem with.
Hey,
I don't have a problem with them wanting to spend a little money on a party for the people, man.
And this, coupled with the ethics bill that they just passed, is really bad.
Yeah,
no, 100% agreed. It's this lack of transparency. See, like I said, I don't have a problem with them spending some money on a party for the people, because it raises their political capital, and I despise most of the fucking right-wing douchebags in Louisiana. But they're not the only ones who benefit from those Mardi Gras celebrations. That is also a free celebration for fucking people in the streets of fucking D.C., which people don't realize this. Lots of poor people in D.C. This is a great thing for that kind of shit. So, I don't have an issue with that.
See, I was figuring the parties in D.C. would have been, small exclusive parties for other
you can't do that. You can't do that with. First of all, that's not how Mardi Gras celebrated. Even when
in
we celebrated
Louisiana,
outside,
sure,
no,
but like in DC.
Go look at Mardi Gras in fucking St. Paul when they do it. I think it's like every 4 years. This is fucking Minnesota.
Yeah, and it's also, what is it? Because it's Mardi Gras, that means it's Fat Tuesday. Because it's Fat Tuesday, that means it's February in Minnesota, and they still do this shit.
Yeah,
and people show
up.
Like
it's just, like this is what I'm trying to get at. Is like Mardi Gras is meant to be celebrated outdoors. It's part of like the history and tradition of the celebration. It is quite literally meant to be a parade in the streets.
And we're talking about
so you could make it private, i.e. the people who are allowed to march in it, but you could not make it private, i.e. the people who are allowed to view it and participate.
We're talking about a time period in Minnesota in which the temperature can get to minus 40 degrees. This is without the wind chill.
Yep, and you will still see tatas and beads.
Yep, and here's the other thing.
They go back under the parka real quick, but
but what I'm gonna say is that once you get to like minus 40 like that, you're getting to a point in which gasoline starts to congeal.
Yeah, and it's negative 68 or negative 72 when diesel starts to go.
Wow.
Yeah. That's when you start getting the wind chill up in the fucking big plains areas up north.
Yep.
But going back to this, the transparency is the issue here, because information will be shared with the public about donations. Well, this will be challenged. Doesn't matter what they pass, because this is going to be butting up against federal campaign issues. If Trump is successful at cementing the FEC under him, bad. This will be played in their favor.
Yep. If
this goes to SCOTUS, it's a 50-50 shot this plays out in the public's favor, because Barrett and Gorsuch have both proven to cross the aisle on stuff like this.
Yep.
This very well, and Roberts has as well in the past.
Yep.
This very well could go the public's way. It all depends on who this goes to. Does this go to the FEC or does this go to SCOTUS? And it will depend on how the challenges to that executive order go.
Yep. All right.
Which those are still in court, we don't know. But yes, ivermectin, ANCOM.
All right. Oh, this one's fun. So I looked up the bill for this one just to get some more details on it, but let me... Oh, shit. I think I closed the tab. God damn it. Sorry, 1 sec. Oh, fuck. Where was it?
It's quick. I'll just read it. Yeah, find your thing. One measure allows the antiparasitic drug, a discredited COVID-era treatment, to be sold for over-the-counter use. Okay. While he's looking up his data, I'm just going to point this out. I could have went into pretty much any animal feed store and went and picked up this paste off the fucking shelf.
Could you just said something like Orscheln's?
All right,
I don't know the brand. I don't know the brand. Like,
I mean,
no, because Tractor Supply didn't have stuff like this, but the feed store did.
Tractor Supply did this?
Mm-mm. Not, at least not the one in my town. My Tractor Supply, like, the only feed they have is like feed corn in bags out front. They don't have like the big batch of stuff like at the giant fucking Tractor Supplies.
Oh, okay.
Like, this is mainly like their outdoor area is mainly like the pavilions, the quick erect paddock.
Oh,
all that shit.
So what you're saying is you had a hobby farm supply. You didn't have a Tractor Supply.
Well, yeah, but we have multiple, like, because we have a cattle auction in town and other stuff. No, you're right. No, you weren't kidding. You were right. You were right. I'm just saying. I don't know brand names of feed stores, and I know there are ones that are like interstate ones. I just don't know
Well,
which ones are which
it's
on
not a
that.
feed
'Cause
store. It's like, what is it? You have what is it? You have like Tractor Supply. You have Fleet Farm is another one that's in the north. And then you have like Orchlands. I can't remember if Orchlands got bought out or not, but Orchlands might have gotten bought out. But these places are places where you can get pretty much anything, like anything farm related, not just like
and
feed.
that's fair enough. What I was talking about was feed and seed, which is you'd also be able to get all the dewormer paste, all of the
Yeah.
topical sprays for your sheeps and all that shit.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's where, like, I could go in anywhere and buy this shit over the counter. So what this is telling me, and when Ancom finds his stuff, I'm sure he's going to tell me
I got it.
the part of this. Yeah, I was just going to say, because this is the last point. This is meaning they're wanting it sold over the counter in places like CVS and Walgreens.
Yeah.
No, actually, that is not.
Really?
So,
okay.
yeah.
They didn't
so
fuck
it
up that bad.
authorizes.
Cool.
So it authorizes a pharmacist to dispense ivermectin to a person 18 years or older pursuant to a standing order issued by a healthcare professional with prescriptive authority in the Louisiana Department of Health. So it still goes through a pharmacist. It's just that the pharmacist no longer requires a prescription to issue the dose. It requires the.
It doesn't need
LDH
an individual prescription. It requires standing order. Okay.
Yeah, so there will be a standing order throughout the state of Louisiana issued by the Department of Health saying yes, people can be given ivermectin by a pharmacist. It requires rules for establishing procedures for dispensing it by the LDH. It authorizes the pharmacy to charge an administrative fee. It provides for civil immunity for pharmacists dispensing ivermectin, and provides that health and
there it is. There's the fuckery. There's the fuckery.
Yeah, and provides
the rest of this I didn't have a problem with until that point.
Yeah, and provides that health insurance providers do not have to provide coverage for the cost of ivermectin dispensed pursuant to this law. So, like, they would still. So, that's
actually a good thing.
Yeah, they would still have to pay. Like, they could still be compelled to pay for it, if I'm understanding correctly, if it's specifically prescribed by a doctor, just not if they're using the standing order.
Yeah. So this is two good things and four bad things. I don't like the ratio, but I mean the fact that this is going to fall on pharmacists. For those of you who don't realize this, pharmacists are real doctors. Like they go doctor school for 12 years, etc. I know a lot of people.
I didn't think pharmacists.
They're not MDs.
Have an MD.
No, they have to have a doctor of pharmacology. Just same length of time in school.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah, like they are like a pharmacy tech. You can get that license in 18 weeks or some shit like that. It's not very long. Like these are real, like honest to God, like doctors. Yeah. They're less likely to do shit like this on the whim. You know what I mean? Like they're probably only going to do it for semi-legitimate reasons. Some off-label use, because I don't know what they are, but almost every drug has an off-label use too. Yeah. They'll probably do it for some stuff like that. My issue with this is, though, a pharmacist doesn't examine you.
Yeah.
Which means they have to go sheerly on word of mouth. No lab tests. None of that. This.
Which, admittedly, is still better than, like, selling it in a package on a shelf. But.
Well, no. But more my issue is, okay, you want to let them do this. That's fine. But then they remove the liability.
Yeah.
Now this becomes fuckery. Now this is the kind of thing that's going to get people killed.
Yeah.
Because they know they can't be sued for it, and they can't be held fucking criminally liable for it.
Well, civilly liable. I suppose criminal liability could still be...
Which would then fall to state prosecutors.
Yeah.
Well, all I'm gonna say is, and we should probably put this out there, is that the joke ivermectin that people on the left were talking about before was considered the horse grade ivermectin that people actually did buy and tried to take. There is a ivermectin for human usage at the same time. It does exist,
Yes.
and yes, you can actually use that form of ivermectin. You cannot use the horse grade ivermectin. Unless you
you can. You're just going to get very sick and...
No, you're going to shit your intestines out. You're literally going to shit blood and shit your intestines out. This is exactly what happens when you take horse grade version ivermectin. So
yeah, you're not a 2,000-pound animal.
Right.
I mean, that entirely depends on whether or not they adjust the dose, although, to be fair, people who are getting ivermectin from a vet med in order to do human use, I don't expect they understand dosing all that well.
Right.
I don't expect that they cared. They were probably smearing that shit on toast like fucking marmalade.
I can just see it like right now.
These were not the brightest crayons.
Apply this. Do I eat it? Do I apply it to my face?
Like, honestly, the people who were using ivermectin to try and treat COVID, I don't know what the fuck they were doing. We had people who were literally shoving, and I shit you not, and that pun intended, they were shoving UV fucking light bulbs up their ass to fight COVID. Yes, like plugging them in, turning them on. Like, people were not using their right brain or a brain when doing this. That being said, at least it's behind a pharmacist wall.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Hey,
small victories.
You know something? You got to give it to Tractor Supply or Orschlids, Fleet Farm, wherever you're going to get this stuff. They have this in a locked case that you have to break into a locked case if you're going to get it. So there's no way to get this without somebody coming over with a key to unlock it to get it for you.
Okay, now we're on to our...
I do want to...
Go ahead.
I want to add one last, I think, just interesting note. So I'm looking at the summary of the bill after various amendments were passed to the bill, and the main amendment here was adds that the standing order issued by the Department of Health shall be issued by a healthcare professional with prescriptive authority. So apparently that wasn't a requirement before, which I find hilarious.
Yes, because the person who put this into the bill, I forget her name, is one of those people who believes that all medications, literally even up to and including IVL2 fucking chemo, should be available on the shelf.
Yeah.
Yeah, let that nightmare sink into your brain, Ancom.
All I'm gonna say is, like, if you are taking ivermectin and you're taking way too much of it, and you're doing it kind of like on a daily basis sort of thing,
You're gonna end up in the fucking hospital or the morgue.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna end up like this is a accelerated version of the people who get addicted to laxatives.
Oh, another tiny thing which I just thought was interesting. So the senator who introduced this bill, named Michael Fezzi, but in the Senate website and the legislative website, his nickname Big Mike is in all of this official documentation. So proposed by Senator Michael quotes Big Mike Fezzi. Who the fuck does that?
I don't know this senator's off the top of my head. I'd have to look into him, but and the audience can fucking fact check me. I'd bet money, football player. Bet money
Probably,
he played football in college.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the guy's picture, he's built like this man, incredibly broad-shouldered, very short neck. Like, yeah, this man is built to be a fucking linebacker.
Yeah, I don't know the guy. It's just the people who put those little fucking Wild West surnames, unless they're wearing cowboy boots and a belt buckle so heavy they lean forward a bit. I always assume football player or hockey player.
They're wearing a belt buckle that's so big it doubles as a dinner plate.
That works too. I was going for those championship ones that could have doubled for a fucking platter for fucking Thanksgiving dinner. But
Wayne, bring out the nice silver. Here, let me get my belt off real quick here.
Yeah, but like those are the only people I see do it in the 21st century. It's just the reality of it is either you're still in the Wild West and you still LARP the Wild West, or you actually live it. There's a few people who still live it.
Are you?
I said, are you in Texas LARPing it? No, you're in Japan living it. There's a difference.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, my daily wear.
Your leather vest is in fucking camera. We can see it behind you. We know. Like, I can't see the hat because you moved the camera and I can't see the shelf anymore. But
yeah, they're up there. I moved.
I know vest. You used to have it where I could see the brim of the hat on the top of the cabinet. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like this is my point. We know. I'm not calling you a LARPer. I'm calling the dandies who wear the fucking $5,000 ostrich skin boots and never fucking kick up a skin of dust. Fucking those assholes.
I have ostrich boots, and they're my indoor shoes for school.
Yeah, but that still means you wear them outside of the dance floor.
Yeah.
You know the people I'm talking about.
Right.
Stop taking offense because you have ostrich skin. Are they $5,000? Are they fucking polished so bright that
I don't even know Lou Casey handmade classics that cost that much for ostrich.
That's why I said the fucking dandies, the people who do all bespoke.
Yeah, well, I had a pair of boots that I used they were entirely designed for dancing. That I would wear my regular boots, and I had a boot case that I carried in my dancing boots to the dance hall to change boots so I could dance.
Yeah, the difference is when these people take off those fancy boots, they put on fancy wingtips.
Yeah, but the
you
thing
put
is,
on you put on not fancy boots.
When you're talking,
that's the difference between these people and you.
When you're talking about like $4,000 or $5,000 boots, you're talking about something where they went to like Mexico or they went to like California to have somebody like handcraft a boot specifically for
that dude.
them.
What's his name? Antonio. I can't remember his last name. The guy in Dallas.
Right.
You're going to those custom boot makers. Yeah.
Right, but what I'm saying is even if you went to like Lou Casey still makes like the handcrafted boots that is like 100 solid leather where they literally have like wood pegs that they hammer into it and whatnot. Like the base boot itself, to buy the base boot is about $600 to $700. And then after
that... Oh, really? I thought they were more than that. Or is that just the cut I was looking at? I was looking at like $1,200 when the last time I looked at them when we were bullshitting about it a few months back.
It's about $700 for what is it? Just for the handmade classic, just a basic boot with a basic cow leather. But
I guess I don't know the difference between basic because like the ones I was looking at probably weren't basic then.
Right. So the thing is that like once you start getting like premium leathers, then the price starts going up. But even if you were going to get something that's like elephant hide, you maybe would hit the $2,000 mark. Just maybe.
Well, but those are the companies that have the machines to cut it rather than the people that are literally hand cutting every panel.
Right. But what I'm saying
is having people are hand trimming and hand sewing.
Right.
Which is still very good, but
yeah, I'm just saying that unless you like, the majority of people aren't going to be doing this. Even these people that are quoted these quote unquote dandies, they're probably going to be running something like a Lou Casey classic, and they're probably, even with like the most expensive leather that they could put on those, it would probably be under $2,000. I
mean, fair enough. You actually buy these things, so I'll give you that. But I'll point out the people I'm talking about are the ones who hunt from the back of a golf cart and they never get out of it. They have somebody go pick up their fucking kill for them. You know the assholes I'm talking about.
Right.
Yeah, maybe I used a bad example with the ostrich hide because
they're the ones that have the ground baited and salt licks everywhere with a complete clearing out directly out there with there's a clear line shot.
Yep, and they're using a fucking telescopic sight that you might use if you were trying to hit somebody a mile away to shoot something at 100 yards
or less.
Yeah, it's fucking It's there's a reason that people like me, and I'm not a farmer, that's why I don't know the boots, or a westerner, so I don't know the boots. When I work on stuff like that, I'll put on a pair of combat boots with fucking steel toes before I go and spend that. Like, send me to mill surplus, motherfucker. I'll find a pair that fit.
Hey, I'm telling you right now, I have got a pair of shit kickers that I have had for a good 8 years now. Soles were almost gone on them, and I found a shoe repair shop in the mall that they put on here, and I just got them back with new half soles and new heels on them, and I am ecstatic.
But anyways, I'm going to read this last one because I'm the Art Bell fan here. If
no,
you
it's
don't mind.
Ancom
Or are
is
you going
supposed
to
to
take
read
it?
the weather modification one.
Oh well, we'll let him do it. I know you're an Art Bell fan too, so we'll go with it. I'm just the one who remembers hearing them on the radio rather than recordings.
All right. Louisiana is the latest state to prohibit anyone from, quote, intentionally injecting, releasing, applying, or dispersing chemicals into the atmosphere with the purpose of affecting the, quote, temperature, weather, climate, or intensity of sunlight. I find it interesting that they specify intensity of sunlight as if that doesn't count under weather or temperature. Like, is there a way to affect intensity of sunlight without affecting temperature, weather, or climate?
Yes.
You have not read the research on chemtrails, have you?
Well, okay. Yes, there are technically chemicals that can be released into the atmosphere that would attenuate the intensity of sunlight, specifically the UVA and UVB spectrums of the light range that would not affect weather, quote unquote, because that's a different system. It would affect meteorological norms, but it wouldn't affect the weather in the way that they're meaning it, and it would not affect the temperature in the way that they're meaning it, because while UVA does have some minor effect on the temperature, most of our temperature gradient comes from the lower side of the spectrum, remember?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
the longer waves.
but like blocking and limiting UV is absolutely going to affect temperature and weather. It's just going to do it in slightly more complex ways.
I agree with you, but I'm saying, like, technically we could argue this, but the problem is what they're talking about is going to affect meteorological research is the problem. Because one of the things that this is going to prevent is cloud seeding. For those of you who don't know what cloud seeding is a way that we basically tell it where to rain. I'm being very reductive for brevity here.
Extremely, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm being very, very brief for the point. But it is a way that we can tell a certain region to pick up a lot of moisture relatively quickly, whether or not the natural processes would have created it or not. That being said, this isn't something that, as far as I know, is heavily done in Louisiana, so I don't know how much this will affect research. But what it will affect is your ability to forecast weather effectively, because cloud seeding being completely outlawed will also affect some of the new dew point things that we put in, because they release certain amount of chemicals and track the dispersion with particular spectrum cameras in the air. That will affect that. Basically, some of the most cutting-edge meteorological equipment won't be able to be used in your state unless an exemption is put in later. I will give them credit. This isn't as bad as some of the other states that have done this, that have gone all Alex Jones on this. I still don't like it because it seems too broad, too vague. It's like this level of ambiguity is going to lead to people who shouldn't be punished being punished and people who should be punished not being punished because nobody's going to fucking understand what the hell they're talking about.
That's think this may also lead to people blaming space lasers by particular particular ethnic groups that own space lasers in space.
I mean, I want to say that you're wrong, but you're not.
But you know that I'm right.
But my problem is, let's say they did the exact opposite of this.
Yeah.
Despy. Let's say we literally flip this law on its head. Those same people would be saying the same fucking thing. Just saying, anytime weather manipulation. Wait a minute. No. We can't. It wouldn't matter what. Oh no, we've permitted weather manipulation. Now we're in bed with. No. We're out. Oh, we're protect. They'd be saying the same thing. They would be screeching the same incoherent conspiracy theory about space lasers and forest fires and mind control and all kinds of other crap that they fucking said in the last few years on the subject.
Infertility.
I hate you for making me have to speak about this.
Infertility.
And that's to the people who talk about this shit in general, to where I have to talk about this like it's a serious goddamn thing rather than a fucking tabloid article, not to you two. Fuck. Like this weather Hey bitch, if we have a problem with the climate, let's just say you don't want to say it's anthropogenic climate change, it's just climate change. Wouldn't it still be beneficial if we find a way to stop it?
No.
Like think this through. Like let's just say you're stupid enough to think that it's not caused by humans.
It's better that you pray to Jesus that he changes the weather.
Okay, now I hate
you. All right. I'm going to take the next three, and then Jack, you'll finish off the last three.
Yep.
All right. So the next one we're getting into the rejected bills. And if right now, if I had the ability and I had it saved up and I would have been thinking before we did this here, I would have played the bit from the rejected cartoon that says, I'm a consumer whore. And how? These are
we could have just as easily done what's that I forget the name of the channel, the one that did I'm a Building has a I'm a rejected line in there too. We could have done a clip from.
Yeah. But so we're going to go through the things that got rejected from the Louisiana state legislature. Okay, so the diversity, equity, and inclusion. After emotional pleas from black lawmakers, a bill that bans state government DEI programs died on the vine in the Senate. Big surprise.
No, actually, I'm not surprised by this because of the population demographics of Louisiana. I'm surprised it went to the last run, actually. I'm surprised this didn't get taken out in one of the first lines of amendments rather than the final.
Mm-hmm.
Personally. Beyond that, this doesn't surprise me. If this was Alabama, it would surprise me because of the way their legislature demography is set up.
Mm-hmm.
Louisiana, even Arkansas, Texas, Mississippi, there's too much diversity in the elected representatives to Like, don't get me wrong, they're going to keep trying this shit until they get something through.
Yep.
But if they're too blatant about it, I honestly see it dying like this continuously, because it's the blatantness that's the problem. If they could sneak it by, some of these black politicians who are Republicans will let it slip by because their constituents won't realize what just fucked them.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is that, and this is to keep in mind for people that watch, that when they hear DEI, they think it's black people and gay people and trans people. And
disabled people.
Well, I was getting to that, but the thing is that, like, when we're talking about diversity, equity, inclusion, we are talking about disabled people, but we're also talking about military vets. Military vets fall under this diversity, equity, and inclusion umbrella, as well as your black people, gay people, and people of different like backgrounds.
That's the only upside to this, because
Yes.
now we will be able to sue police departments for exclusively wanting to hire military and call it a violation.
Yes.
It's a minorly good thing, but that's a lot of fighting and a lot of fucking time in the courts to try and pull any of that crap off, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So this is a very minor victory on that we can look at.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, here's the thing. Like, if you are the type of person that has the mind that I don't like gay people, I don't like black people, and I don't like, trans people, that's fine. If that's what you want to think. Okay? What I'm going to say is that this also means that you hate vets and you hate, people that had worked in the military. You have to basically disabled people. You have to hold those people to the same standard that you have, where you say that I don't like black people, I don't like gay people, and I don't like trans people, and I don't like women. You have to basically put all of those people together under one umbrella if you say that I am against DEI.
And here's the thing. I am a leftist. Between me and ANCOM, we'll argue over who's the farthest left in this call. But when it really comes down to it, I have problems with certain DEI programs because there have been some that have been done poorly.
Yeah.
you
Affirmative action
don't throw
is
the
a
baby
very
out with
good
the best.
one.
Well, but that wasn't intentionally fucked up.
I
It just became
understand,
fucked
but
up.
still,
But
it is.
I was talking about the ones that were intentionally like corrupt from the day they were put in place.
Correct.
Like there have been ones that we can reform. You don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, though. That's not how you fix problems like this. You fix the problems. You don't fucking destroy the system.
Yeah. If your car's alternator breaks, you don't just junk the car.
Yeah, that's what this is. And I'm still gonna flip you off for the fucking bigotry on like Despy, who's being a little bit nicer about it than I am. Even though I'm sure he wants to too, because I see the look on his face.
Yeah.
The reality of it is this: you can think whatever the fuck you want. Don't make it policy. Because you know what? There's a lot of things that I think that shouldn't be policy.
Mm-hmm.
100% shouldn't be. Why? Because the standards I hold, the standards that I hold for myself, are not something I can expect of everyone.
Yeah.
There's certain bare minimums I can expect, but I can't expect everything. So there are certain things that I would like that should not in any way be policy, because they would inadvertently, because I'm not, even though I'm smart, I'm not smart enough to see every angle. I would inadvertently end up probably causing somebody harm with that policy.
Yep.
Like, just fix the problems that actually cause the harm. Don't throw out the systems that help so many.
Yeah. I was using
because this helped your
nice language to explain my point. But the whole point is that, like, if you're saying you're against these groups of people, you have to say you're against veterans
and women, and your buddy with the GIMP arm. and your buddy who fucking got his hand blown off working on the electrical line, and all of the other fucking people in that category too.
And
Like, there's plenty of people.
And your buddy that threw that M80 a little too late. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, no, but that's the reality of it, is you are talking about people that you do not realize you are talking about.
Yeah.
And that is why there are certain things, as much as you can think them, I don't think you should, but as much as you can think them, they should not be policy. This is one of those.
Because I'm telling you right now, if you're listening, you're watching right now, the three things that come directly to your mind when you hear DEI is black people, gay people, and trans people. And you don't think about anything else besides those three people. But
and only one of those groups is a significant portion of the population.
Right. But, like we were saying before, it also includes women, it includes disabled people, and it includes veterans. So you can't just say, I don't like these three. You have to say, I don't like these six.
And the other three are all extremely large population densities.
Yes.
So to attack a very small minority of people, you are also attacking a bunch of people that I think you probably like in a lot of cases, because some of them vote with you, some of them go to church with you.
Yeah, and the majority of the when they talk about like DEI, as in like the hiring practices with this case dealing with the state government, this just means that when they're looking at applications, they basically have to have a larger list of applications to look at when they're doing their hiring process. It doesn't necessarily mean they have a quota of a number of people that they have to have. They just have to make sure that all the people that have the qualifications necessary, that all of those people's applications are all in the same stack.
Now, I will add in one minor thing, that there is a quota. That quota is that you must have X number of races, and it's not a specific, in the top of your pile. It is supposed to be randomized. That is the only quota, is that X number of races of applicants must be in the top of your pile for consideration. Not that you must hire them, just that you have to look at their application at near the top of the pile to see if they are worthy of the consideration. Because so many people, when they get these resumes, will put them at the bottom of the pile if you don't.
So
that's all it is.
We're just
all it requires.
We're literally just talking about adding applications to a stack of applications. Not necessarily that you have to take 20 applications from the top first and then look at all the other ones.
Yeah, it's nothing like that. Well, it's nothing like that a vast majority of the time. And any of those systems that are like that, share them in our comment section, and we will attack those stipulations too, because those are wrong.
Yes, very wrong.
Yep.
All right.
Seriously, you point them out, we will dig into them. But
right.
Next one, split jury.
Split jury. Incarcerated people who were convicted under the now banned practice of split juries would have had the opportunity to ask for a new trial under one proposed measure. However, Republicans rejected the bill.
Okay, I am of split mind on split decision, because the thing is,
so you're only thinking about it a quarter of the time?
This will keep a bunch of right-wing anti-abortion terrorists in jail. This will also keep a bunch of poor POCs in jail that probably were innocent. So I am of a split mind on this one, because rejecting this does keep some pretty nasty people that we know are guilty. They fucking admitted it in court. Know are guilty in jail, but it's probably going to keep some innocent people in jail too, which bothers me.
Yeah, well, I mean, telling you right now, I would rather have the innocent people. out of jail, even if it meant dealing with some of
I
these
know.
these horrible people, then
See,
keeping it in place. Like I cannot make that sacrifice.
It's not that. It's because the whole concept of it's better that 1,000 guilty men go free than innocent men go be in prison. I agree with that. It's about during the process. This is about getting a new process, just getting a new trial, which is why I'm of a split mind of this. They've already gone through their due process to be in this position. They got screwed because of an old particular law that is now out of date.
Yeah.
So, while that sucks, I do not know if trying to fix something because their jury policy was shit, that may be innocent. I don't know if they're innocent, but may be innocent, is worth letting a bunch of fucking bombers out. If I knew for a fact these people were innocent, I'd probably be on your side. The fact that it's only a maybe is why I'm on the fence about this, because some of these people bombed fucking people in their homes, Despy.
Yeah.
They bombed
Some of the
abortion
people
providers in their homes. Like, Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
okay. Abortion. Yeah, because I'm like, wait, if they bomb, how the fuck did they get a split jury if they were bombing people? But no, that makes sense.
Yeah, right-wing extremists.
Yeah,
and that's
like,
the thing. Some of these people will be kept in jail because of this, or at least not get a new trial. They could still get out because of appeals and shit like that. But
yeah, but like other than like the expense and the time incurred by the state in order to relitigate these offenses, like I don't see this as a bad thing. I would rather innocent people get the chance to get a trial that, clearly some of the jurors on their original trial thought they were not guilty, and they likely had a reason for that. And I would rather them be able to get that justice, even if we have, some jackasses who actually did commit these crimes somehow managed to get one over on a brand new panel of jurors. I think that's unlikely, but I would rather see innocent people go free.
But the thing is we don't know that they are innocent. They could be. Well, they also could be guilty. Yes. And that's why I'm saying.
Thing is, they should
that's
have
why
the
I'm
chance,
split.
They should have the chance to demonstrate that they are in fact innocent.
I understand that, but the problem is, and this is the part I think you may not be realizing, if this precedent is set in Louisiana the way it will be now, or won't be because they rejected it, but would have been if they accepted this. What this would have allowed is people like, dead, but I'll use him as an example because most people know the name. People like Timothy McVeigh or Ted Kaczynski to get out. Because both of those were split juries too, 11-1.
Yeah, and if they were to request a new trial which required a unanimous jury, do you honestly think that the new jury would go for acquittal if it was 11-1 last time?
You're forgetting, and this is perhaps because you think of these things more deeply than the average person. Without the proximity of the crime, without the proximity of the horror, they may not know enough of the details to come to a judgment, or have already come to a pre-formed judgment, because you cannot, in these kind of cases, avoid jury contamination because of the fact that these are stories that have already been in the public record, so on, so forth. Like, that's where this kind of shit comes in. I don't know if this precedent set, as much as I don't like innocent people in jail, is worth how many very, very dangerous, guilty people we know are guilty that will get out because they were able to convince one person. You know what I mean?
What
Like,
do you, wait. Well, it's not just convince one person. They would have to convince a whole new set of 12 people.
No, that one person in the previous case. That's
yeah. No, I get what you're saying, but like, they would have to.
But you're counting on that new jury doing it the same way without the horror proximity. Like when Timothy McVeigh went on trial, we were still putting pictures of the Oklahoma City building and fucking rubble on the fucking news before he went to trial. Like, it still hadn't left the news cycle. If we do it now, most people haven't seen those pictures, Ancom. Or if they have, they haven't seen it in 20 years.
Well, yeah, but you don't think that kind of evidence wouldn't be brought back up?
Human beings without the immediacy, that in your face, that horror. I know this because I know how population densities work and population mechanics work, and so do you. On a sociological scale, populations forget horrors the further we get away from them, even when we show pictures of it later. We can show pictures of Dachau and Auschwitz, of the lines of people going into the fucking chambers, Ancom. It doesn't have the same effect as it did in 1946.
No, it doesn't have the same effect. It doesn't need to. All it needs to do is convince people that this person was guilty of this crime, and like if they are as
and that emotional horror is how a lot of juries we have that. There's a reason we have voir dire consultants specifically to help pick juries to help amplify these emotional tenets on juries, because we know by studying most juries decide on emotion, not on fact. That's why.
And that's fine, but you also have to take into account, the prosecution would have voir dire. They would know, or they would be able to hire jury consultants to understand what jury will give them the most likely.
Let's correct this. Let's correct this misassumption. Okay. Yes, they'd have voir dire, the process of jury selection. A prosecutor's office, even the best funded prosecutor's office in our country, could not afford to hire a jury consultant for a week, let alone for every case. Jury consultants charge between $3,000 to $8,000 an hour. Because these are people who are doing deep dive background checks into all the jurors. You know, all the shit that lawyers aren't supposed to know. The voir dire consultants go and find out because they're allowed to know, and then they can give recommendations to the lawyers. These people charge a shit ton of money because they employ a crap ton of private investigators and a crap ton of fucking on the ground staff specifically to dig into every fucking jury's fucking. Only the hyper rich can afford these motherfuckers. Prosecutors have to do all of that shit on their own within the limits of the law because they can't afford to pay for them. Usually a jury consultant like this is only hired in a special prosecution type situation.
And I feel like if the severity of the crime was high enough to warrant that in the case of one of these retrials, they would employ that. But the point doesn't the point of this.
That's the best funded prosecutors, Ancom. That's the best funded. Most of them will never be able to hire them at all. Ever. For a capital murder case, there could be a gubernatorial assassination. They could not afford these people. My state could not afford it. West Virginia,
Louisiana,
there's
couldn't. Yeah.
That's my point. So now you are putting David versus Goliath in this situation. That's why this is partly if it had been pushed. Thankfully, it was rejected.
I don't know.
That's why I said I'm on the fence. I'm not like fully in support of it. I'm not fully against it.
Yeah, I personally see the benefit of allowing potentially innocent people who were wrongly convicted under a split jury to relitigate that, to actually get the full due process that they are guaranteed.
Notice that Despy and my first instincts were both the same thing. Then I thought about it, and it was like, where else can this be abused? That the thing we did earlier with the accepted portion, I have to do with this portion too. Where could this have been abused?
Yes, and of course people will try to abuse it. I'm not doubting that. But
and that's why I said I'd have to dig into the exact word.
I personally balance this against the abuse that already took place when they allowed for split juries, because that was abused to hell and back. So the question is...
It was a practice that was abused to hell and back, but if I remember, and I'm not a Louisiana history expert, so I could be misremembering it for one of the other southern states, one of the reasons that split juries were allowed was because basically it would allow for acquittals of black perpetrators because of the overwhelming fucking push. It may not have been in Louisiana. It may have been one of the other southern states that this was true about, but I think it was Louisiana.
I mean,
so the original reason the rule was put in place was to try and combat a different abuse. That's the thing. That's why we have to be careful about what we pass now, because we see if we aren't careful in our wording, careful in our execution, it becomes a cudgel against us later. And that's why I'm saying I have to look into the exact wording, but from the blurb, from what we're reading here, I'm on the fence. Yeah. The exact wording, I could be like, oh no, fuck that. They should have passed this shit. It was perfectly worded. It fucking covered all of the fucking loopholes, but it could have been. I don't know. I haven't read that, so I don't want to say. That's why I'm on the fence.
Let's move on to the next one that all of us are going to bitch about.
At least it'll be quick. But it'll be quick, because this is true everywhere.
One bill would have gradually increased Louisiana's minimum wage, which currently stands at $7.25 over the next 4 years. Similar bills have repeatedly been shot down.
Okay, first of all,
this is unsurprising.
I as much as this sucks, I don't have a problem with this. I have a problem with the fact that it's the federal minimum wage is still $7.25.
Yeah,
because otherwise, this wouldn't be a fucking issue if the feds were doing their goddamn job. Yeah. Just saying. Yeah. So, like, as much as I dislike this, Louisiana being one of the poorer states, they may not have the money to. I'm not saying that this is a definite defense. If you were to increase it, you could cause like a lot of mom and pop places in places that are too poor to go out of business, and you don't want to corporatize in that way, and that could be what they're doing, because Louisiana is all about small business. They even fight against Walmart on occasion.
Yep.
That could be why they're doing this. But the feds need to get their fucking ass in gear and fix this shit. I don't expect it in the next 4 years, unfortunately. But any Democrat who's going to be in office after this basically needs to have this shit in their fucking binder ready to go. Because this shit needs to fucking... It's been $7.25 for what, 20 years? 25 years?
Yeah, well...
Fuck.
Yeah. All I'm going to say is that if whoever the Democratic candidate isn't screaming at a bare minimum of $11 at the top of their lungs every day of the campaign and implementing it like first day, like some measure of some kind, even if it's just federal employees at like $11 first day, then it's not going to get passed for at least 3 out of those 4 years of their what is it? While they're in office.
This is I'm not even arguing that. I'm just pointing out it's been too long. It's the federal government's job to fix this particular issue. The reason a lot of these states are at the rates that they are is because of how long we have kept the federal minimum wage that they are, therefore hindering currency velocity in their state, which would have helped their states become more prosperous, etc. So, like, if the feds step up, then we can start going state by state and start, critiquing again. Because right now they're fucking bent. Some of these states, West Virginia, Louisiana, Arkansas, Tennessee, they're bent over a barrel by how they were fucked by the feds for so long with this shit. I think,
if I remember correctly, Clinton was the last president to increase the minimum wage. I think. I
don't remember. You may be right. So it may be over 30 years now.
Yeah. So, but the thing is that in that 30 years time, because they haven't been raising the minimum wage like they should, we have now the disparity between pockets of the United States where the amount of money that you make in San Diego compared to the amount of money that you make in Hays, Kansas for basically the same amount of work, there's such a high discrepancy that raising the minimum wage could actually cause some extreme issues, especially in very poor areas.
Yes. And that's why I say, like, the feds need to raise it. 11's still not enough, honestly. It needs to be minimum $13.50. I'm just saying, but like, I'm doing.
I know that they're going to scream 15, but the thing is that that they're going to be pulled back to something like 11.
But the reality is, what they should be screaming is 25.
I know, but we're
not going to argue on that because we agree on it. I'm just pointing out, like, this is the feds failing. And I can't blame Louisiana without digging a lot more into their like specific economic issues.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's the same issue that's happened in my state, this federal minimum wage has created a currency deadlock in our state to where most of the money that is in our state does not stay in our state,
mm-hmm.
and not a whole lot of outside money comes into our state.
Yeah.
So it's one of these things where, like, they may be in the same boat, and if they are, I can't blame them for not, like, bankrupting mom and pop people. You know what I mean?
The only reason why I said that is because $15 is the line that everybody's been screaming since 2016, and we all know that the second the Democrats get into office, and if they said it's supposed to be 15, the parliamentarian is going to get angry and tell them that they can't do it, so they're going to have to cut it in half. And what is halfway between fucking 7 and 15? It's fucking 11.
No, you're right. I was more talking practicality of actual effect as opposed to...
You were talking practicality. I was
talking of the deal.
Yeah. I was talking about...
So...
go ahead.
For practicality's sake, I looked up the law because the AP blurbs just don't give enough information. So,
we're doing that for time more than anything.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but then we get on to discussions that require details. So, in favor of Jack's argument here, the proposed law would have established a state minimum wage at $10 an hour beginning January 1st, 2025. Now, any current business in Louisiana that is paying their employees anything below $10, having to suddenly jump up to that amount, in the past, so who knows if this would end up having to be retroactive. I'm sure that would be an amendment that would need to go through, but this was, likely introduced prior to the beginning of the year. Anyways. That would be a significant burden. I remember when I lived in California and they were doing minimum wage increases. They would do at most $1 an hour per year from the current one. So
yeah, because you have to allow the currency velocity in the area to build up to then allow enough money to go back into the business to then support the next increase and so on. And
exactly. So having that first jump be $2.75 an hour that quickly after the bill was passed. They probably, assuming they wanted to pass this, they probably would have amended it to, to spread it out a little bit more, because right now they have it as $2 every 2 years from that initial $10, so it goes up to 14 by 2029. But like the sudden increase in that very first bump, I could see that being a problem. I could see that creating massive economic issues within Louisiana, and it would still be, it would still end up being below the kind of standard for a lot of places, so they likely wouldn't get much in the way of, immigration into the state to try and take advantage of that higher minimum wage. Although, to be fair, it's probably still higher than a lot of the surrounding states, so that might have helped. But still, it's going to create issues for businesses, because that is a very
but
large...
whether it creates the immigration influx or not is actually immaterial. Because what happens is interstate businesses along the borders end up exchanging money, and then that's the thing. That's why currency velocity is far more important. As long as you can keep the currency... Okay, whatever, fuck it. My camera's being weird. But currency velocity is far more important, because that will allow for the influx from neighboring states to start happening. Once that starts trickling in from the outside, it increases the pool of money within your state, which then allows for greater tax revenue, greater influx from the federal government. Basically, everything that allows all of the states that are flourishing to flourish.
Well, the other thing,
it allows all of that stuff to happen.
The other thing to keep in mind is that this doesn't apply to service industry, especially with tip related service industry, and this doesn't work with farms either. If you work on any form of like farm labor, you're not covered under this this minimum wage at all at the same time. So when you're talking about bringing in immigrants, and we're talking about immigrants that are going to be that would likely be working on farms, then it's...
Well, when we were talking immigrant, we were just talking any immigration to capitalize on the better minimum wage, because like
I was talking about like interstate immigration, not necessarily people coming from out of the country.
Okay.
Yeah, and furthermore, while that's good and happens, it's less necessary because goods travel across even if people don't. It's just the way the trucking industry works and the rail industry works. Like you pass through these states, like it is what it is. It makes it so easy for the money to transfer if there's money to transfer. When you create an economic dead zone, there's nothing to fucking transfer in, just extract.
Yeah.
What's it? I can't remember the name of this fucking town in fucking New Jersey where this happened. But basically, like, all the chemical plants pulled out, and now it's a fucking ghost town.
Well, I mean,
all the chemical plants moved.
Look at Detroit, where Detroit had all of the automotive factories, and they pulled out.
Yeah, but Detroit, but it wasn't just that. Remember that fucking mayor I said who stole billions?
Yeah,
that had a little bit to do with it.
No, but I'm just saying, but they created ghost towns out there that were all designed to be around like the automotive industry.
New Rome died.
Yes.
For those of you who were too young, Detroit used to be known as New Rome. We were quite literally the epicenter of the manufacturing world. Yes. Not just for cars, for all kinds of shit.
Yep.
And we went from a 140 square mile city with, depending on how many people you're talking about would come in from surrounding areas to work. At max population density could be upwards of 8 million people. Actual residents, I think it was like 2 million. At the low point, it was sitting at about 684,000 people.
This is
so literally more than half of the people disappeared.
Yeah, Michigan is one of the cities that was like that when you
Detroit.
Well, no, I'm talking about Michigan in general. But when you're looking at
but you said Michigan is one of the cities.
Oh, sorry.
You mean one of the
Michigan
states?
Michigan is one of the states that when you actually look at the Great Migration within the United States, where black people left the South to go move to the North to go work, Michigan was one of those places because of manufacturing.
Yep. manufacturing in auto, manufacturing in aircraft, manufacturing in hydraulics, manufacturing in fucking rubber production, fucking lumber production.
Everybody was coming from everywhere because there was work to be had, and what was it? And it was great paying jobs, and you could basically
and fishing.
Yeah.
I almost forgot the commercial fishing on the Great Lakes. Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Like, I mean, this is what happens with currency velocity. When you kill currency velocity in the area, everywhere around it suffers, and then once those get done suffering, everywhere around them suffer. The most famous example is one in California. It's called the Salton Sea. It was a resort in the 40s and 50s for the hyper elite. Lots of money. Town built up around it for all the service people. Resort died. It's literally a ghost town. I think there's like 50 people living there, and it's not even a city anymore. These people live in a place that they don't have like normal power. They don't have normal running water. They are literally living in the abandoned shacks of these old fucking millionaires and shit. Like they are just living out in the middle of the fucking salt desert.
This is going to sound bad. They should have called the area that they called the Rust Belt the Steel Belt, because it has turned into the Rust Belt.
I mean, yeah, it really did. But all right, now we get to read on to the
last
one
three.
good thing and okay.
Well,
so
one good thing that
for
you
the
think
third
is a good thing. I'll fight against it.
No. For the third year, lawmakers have rejected a bill that would have added rape in cases where the victim is under the age of 17 to the narrow list of exceptions to the state's abortion ban. This is actually the good one, because the way the reason I say this is a good one, the way they worded this, it would have basically exempted 17 and 18-year-old incest rape by a parent. It would have covered them under it. I'm okay with that one, because of the way that the bill was worded. I looked into this one because Meta covered it. Basically, this one would have been a double-edged sword. It would have been, oh yeah, we can put the abortions back in place, but we then protect these assholes.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with this one, because of the tricky way they worded it. And Hammett had he talked to a lawyer. Like, I don't know the lawyer's name, but this guy fucking does this shit for a living. He has all kinds of contacts for that kind of crap.
Yep.
And he was like, yeah, this one was one of those ones they tried to sneak something in there. That being said, get rid of the garbage, amend that shit out, and pass the fucking amendment to put this exception in there, you fucking monsters.
Yeah.
How dare you? How dare you expect children as young as fucking 11 to fucking carry their rapist baby to term? You fucking monsters.
Yep.
Because that's where that exception starts in their state, is at 11 for that part. Does anybody else need to get done throwing up before they comment, or do we just want to move on with
no, I'm just going to sit here and just be angry for a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a reason I didn't say anything here, because, quite frankly, I don't have the energy to be angry enough to say all the things that I want to say at this. I'm just going to go with, yeah, that sounds about fucking right.
If you don't have anything nice to say, don't get your YouTube channel axed.
I mean, I think I said everything that needs to be said on it. Like, how dare you? Like,
you said everything that needs to be said. I think there's more than needs to be said, but we can't say that without being.
Okay. What needs to be said about them not putting this particular not the entirety of their fuckery, because that's where the rest of that comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Although I agree, Joker smile. Like, I agree. But
smile and wave,
now,
boys. Smile and wave.
Like I said, because this one's a double-edged sword, I don't have a problem with this one being rejected. I do have a problem with the first two they rejected that didn't have the sneaky language in there.
Mm-hmm.
But fuck you guys, like, fix your shit. Or at least make the exception for fucking minors. Be all minors, not just kids over under the age of 11. Or under the age of 12, rather.
Yeah.
Like, don't fucking do that. That's gross.
All right.
Okay, on to the next one, which we're all going to be similarly pissed about.
Yep.
They rejected a measure that would have prohibited employment discrimination based on gender identity and sexual orientation. Failed in committee. Didn't even make it into the wording. It got a motion on the floor, got seconded, and never got the fuck out of committee.
Shouldn't even say
or
emotion.
They specifically
emotioned on the floor.
Yeah.
So, like, here's the thing. I don't care who you are. There's a lot of people that I think are fucking weird. That I think are fucking, like, I'll never fucking understand them. Like, I've met good furries, I've met bad furries. I'll never fucking understand furries. I've had them try and explain it to me. I don't fucking get it. I think it's weird, but more power to them. We shouldn't be able to discriminate against them just because I think it's fucking weird.
Yeah.
Like, come on, guys. Like, you're allowed to be creeped out. You shouldn't be, but sometimes you can't control it, even when you try to fucking overcome it.
I understand people having an affiliation for Christianity, God, and their church. I do not understand people wearing pink gowns and carrying, AR-15s to church as part of their religious ceremony. That will never make sense to me.
Again,
but I'm not going to discriminate against somebody that does that.
I mean, I'll discriminate with my presence, but not on law.
You're
like,
right.
I'm not going to go to that. I'm not going to go hang out at that church with dudes carrying around fucking AKs and pink tutus and shit. But I'm not going to say that they can't have their church. And I'm pretty anti-religion.
Right. I'm not even going to say that they can't have their guns.
No. I'd rather them not, or at least put some paint rounds in that shit.
Right.
But just for safety, I mean, fine.
For
if
the
you
kids.
Really want a fire. How about the person who went to fucking bed drunk on Saturday and woke up for church Sunday still drunk? How about we do it for that guy too?
Yeah.
I want to protect them from their own stupid as well as protect innocent people.
Yeah.
But when it comes right down to it, like, this is ridiculous. Nobody should be able to discriminate based on fucking anything like this.
Especially
the only thing you should be able to just. People will argue over the immutable characteristics of gender identity and sexual orientation. I don't agree with them. I think the science is pretty settled on that. But for the sake of argument, I'm not even going to call it an immutable characteristic, because your religion isn't an immutable characteristic. I don't want you to be able to be discriminated against for any reason that does not endanger other people. If you have some crazy belief that's going to fucking actually harm people, okay, yeah, people can not hire you for that. But if your fucking crazy belief is that we came from a giant clam and Xenu fucking blew up a bunch of fucking aliens in our volcanoes with H-bombs, I don't give a fuck. You're fucking weird, but I don't care.
But if Xenu requires a daily human sacrifice, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Like there's levels to this shit. Like, come on, guys. Like, you should not be able to bring out your e-meter or your Bible during fucking, customer meetings and beat customers over the head with your religion who may or may not share your religion. But you should be able to have that thing in your fucking desk drawer or even on your desk. I don't fucking care. Just don't, don't be a fucking dickhead that screws with the business's ability to do business, and you should never be discriminated against. Ever.
Yeah.
For any fucking reason. The only time it should ever be justified is if you are affecting their ability to do business.
Yeah.
And when I mean that, I mean you are literally preventing them from making money, period. Like, unfortunately, there's bigots in the world. Everybody's gonna fucking, walk out of your door for one reason or another, sometimes for no reason whatsoever. But that, unless you are actively doing something that is harming the business, you should not be able to be discriminated against.
Yep.
It's just that simple. I don't care who you are. Furries, fucking transgenders, gays, I don't give a fuck. This is wrong.
Those weird people that believe Jesus carried an AR-15 or whatever during their ceremonies.
Yeah, religions that I demonstrably know are completely fallacious, fraudulent religions. Even them I want protected. Because once we go down this slope, Mormonism. Like when we are dealing with things like this, I want even them protected. I know they do harm to people, but I don't want them being able to be discriminated against unless that individual person is doing the harm.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that simple. I can't blame you for I can't blame Rich for the crimes of the Catholic Church just because he's Catholic. I can call him a papist and give him shit, but I don't blame him for that crap. He's against it as much as I am.
In private, Jack does try to do that, though.
I give him shit like crazy. I give him shit like crazy. There is absolutely no doubt about that. But he's against it the same way I am, 100%. So I don't have an issue with that crap. He's not one of the people actively doing harm with these things. And anybody who, okay, if you are being that LGBTQ person who everything is rainbow and every conversation turns into a conversation about the fucking coalition, okay, now you might be affecting somebody's business and it's a problem. You have a picture of your wife or your husband on your fucking desk. Who gives a fuck? That should never be an issue.
I mean,
you want to wear a dress? Okay, am I gonna fucking fire a bitch because he wants to wear a kilt? No. I might think he's a little weird, but I'm not gonna fire him for it. It's just stupid. It's absolute ignorance to get bent out of shape over somebody's dress code or gender presentation or who they fuck in their bedroom at night. Stupid. Okay, now this one, which is technically good because fluoride does help, but because Louisiana has some of the most over-fluoridated water because they don't regulate their fucking water treatment plants for shit, this one is semi-bad as well. They rejected a bill that would have outlawed fluoride in Louisiana's public water system. Okay, now, completely outlawing it, not good. Phasing it out for better systems, okay. It really should have been rejected. But Louisiana, Georgia, and I think New Hampshire, it's one of the states up in New England, I don't remember which one right now, have some of the most cases of over-fluoridated water in the country. And once you break a certain parts per million amount of fluoride in the water, it starts causing brain damage. Literal fucking brain damage over time.
Mm-hmm.
So, we need to regulate it better. We don't need to outlaw it unless it is to phase in a new system that is equally as good or better, or at least lacks the risk of harm that fluoride does.
I mean,
everybody
talks about lead poisoning and whatnot. There's a certain acceptable level in parts per billion for amount of lead in water that allows for consumption.
Yes. Now, technically, the EPA says it's 0 parts per billion, it's 0.12 parts per trillion.
Yeah.
But that's for safety as opposed to what is allowed, because part of the problem is some of this lead is not from lead pipes.
Yep.
It's not from anything that anybody's doing wrong. It is because of lead poisoning in the atmosphere as the water is traveling through the system that we can't get rid of because of the tetraethyl lead that we had in gasoline for so many years. That lead is still up there.
Yep.
There's a certain amount we will never be able to get rid of.
So the thing is that like when you look at like water, even like the drinking water, that the filtrated Brita drinking water that you're getting may actually still have a certain amount of trace amounts of lead inside of it. So
lead, mercury, and cesium-137 all could potentially be in there.
Right. All of those, after at a particular point, become very lethal and can be a detriment to your health. But the thing is that it's once they reach that limit point is where they become a problem. So fluoride.
No, these are heavy metals.
Yeah, fluoride is generally
the ones we're listing are heavy metals.
Yeah.
Fluoride is not.
Yeah, but fluoride is at a level when it's introduced into water systems on a regular, like when it's regulated in a particular way in water systems, so that it does not go anywhere near that threshold where it would make you sick or actually affect you basically in any way. The problem is that the 3 states that we had mentioned before, Georgia, Louisiana, and
one in New England. I think I want to say it's New Hampshire, but I don't remember.
Right.
I just remember it's in New England.
The fluoride levels there are over that amount, which makes
at least in several cities,
which makes it a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that if you actually, I want to say something that's not a heavy metal, but it is analogous to this. If you were to go to a state, let's say Kansas or Nebraska or to Oklahoma, and you were to drill a well, the likelihood that you're going to have a high nitrate levels of high levels of nitrates in that water, to the point where the nitrates are so high, I think it's above like 11. I think 11 is the limit.
I don't remember.
It's something like that. You'll find areas where the water will be at 12 to like 17, and that water you can use to wash with, but you're not supposed to cook with that water, and you're not supposed to drink that water because of the level.
You're also not supposed to give that water to your animals.
Yep.
Or put it on your plants.
Yep. But the thing is that that's still water that you can use in particular manners, but you cannot ingest that water. So,
I by the way, the term for this, for those of you in the audience who want to Google this later, is non-potable water.
Yeah. So
okay, go on.
What I'm getting at is that the fluoride level has gotten so high to a point where this water is no longer potable.
Hmm. Yeah, and this is one of these things that is happening. Just like we had a problem with the issue in Flint, there's reasons why these things happen in certain regions, and we can combat them. No, I'm just saying we can combat these things, and this is the same thing. With regulation, we can do the same thing with fluoride. We just have to actually enforce the regulation, and this is no longer a problem.
I was just using nitrites because nitrites isn't a heavy metal, and it's analogous to the fluoride.
Well, but everyone talks about the lead in Flint. The problem is that lead was high. That is one problem. But it was also rusted pipe, so we were dealing with high oxidation.
Yeah.
It was also fucking broken pipe, so we were dealing with soil infiltrate. And the second you get soil infiltrate, you get fecal infiltrate.
And then you get
Flint was fucked up and beyond. Like Flint was fucked up beyond fucked up, unfortunately, because
right.
There's a whole lot. That
I just wanted to make sure that instead of using the heavy metals, the scary stuff that we used before, we could use something like nitrates, which can be scary if you have prolonged exposure to high nitrate water. It can make you very, very, very sick after a long exposure to it, but it's going to be similar to high fluoridated water in the sense that you have to drink it for a long period of time, and over a long period of time you run into issues. Whereas when you're talking about heavy metals inside of water, you can see adverse effects within just a few months instead of over a couple years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why so many of these states have allowed their regulations to get so far out of actual proper enforcement, is because it's so hard to see the effects until it's too late.
Yeah.
You don't even realize there's a problem until it's been going on for years if you're not regulating properly, because that's when the kids start coming in with the learning disabilities and the brain bleeds and the blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Well,
so.
Yeah. All I'm going to say is pretty much most of your major first world countries you're going to go to, most of their water's fluoridated. I mean, you come to Japan, the water here in Japan is all fluoridated. You're not going to find a place here in Japan that doesn't fluoridate water.
The only thing I'm going to say is that's okay. I will trust a country that has an average of a 6-second delay on their trains to keep their fluoride in check.
Right.
Just say it.
Well, the other thing is that like Japan, as much as like that with their healthcare and whatnot, doesn't have as many dental issues as it relates to enamel loss as other countries because of this. When you're talking about things where when you're
that and your diet has so much less sugar than the average fucking Westerner diet that changes a lot. I'm not saying it doesn't have sugar, but it has a lot less and a lot less of the bad ones.
All I'm gonna say is that people say that, and then they get here, and then they see exactly like the things that, like, there are things here that are part of the diet that are extremely high in sugar, where you have other things that have like low amounts of sugar at the same time. I'm not going to say
that I understand, but you guys use stuff like raw sugar rather than the bleached fucking iodized fucking crazy shit that we put in crap, or the crap ton of high fructose corn syrup that we put in a bunch of crap. That's what I mean. It's you guys aren't doing the stuff that eats enamel like candy like we do.
Mm-hmm.
Because we add all that extra processing to our sugars, that is why it's so damaging to our teeth.
Right. All I'm going to say is that the fluoride helps lower the cost of healthcare as it relates to dental care in Japan, because dental care is covered under national insurance.
And here's the thing. For those of you who are like, oh, well, we don't have national insurance, or we don't have, dental insurance even covered on our business. Well, if you lower the cost overall by lowering the influx of necessary business, it lowers the cost for you no matter what, whether you have insurance or not. That's how supply and demand works. As long as they're not in such over demand that they can then afford to spend extra because they don't have 5 competitors down the road who's going to underbid them if they fucking overcharge you. That's how these free market capitalist systems are supposed to work. Don't throw up ANCOM. I'm just saying how they're supposed to work.
No.
Not like we should like them.
I was actually going to point out the fact that when you take public health measures to increase the general health across a community, and that community is also considered by the insurance company or group, if it's even if it's government run, to be the risk pool, then when your pool's overall risk goes down, as it does when you implement public health measures like water fluoridation to prevent tooth decay, then your overall cost of insurance also goes down. So even if you are a private, or even if you have private insurance, your community fluoridating water, thereby reducing tooth decay, has an indirect impact on your health insurance costs, because now your insurance costs less because there are fewer sick people around, and that means
if we regulate the
insurance
insurance companies. if we regulate the insurance companies. But yes, agreed.
If insurance companies were operating purely on actual market dynamics and not, greed. But
that's why I was saying if we regulate it right, yes.
Yeah, the point is that improving community health should, assuming the markets were working as they're supposed to, reduce overall health insurance costs. And that's
so even if you are a total selfish bitch, you have no care for your fellow man, and you only care about your pocketbook, you should want this.
So basically,
even if you are completely fucking selfish, yes. Even if you are a complete cunt,
Randian
you do not care.
Objectivist.
Yep. Yes. And you care nothing about anything else. This helps you. Like, this is something that you should want your government to do, specifically your federal government. But if they aren't going to do it, your fucking state government. This
is paying money.
I will shit on it
money.
because of,
this is paying money to save money.
Yes, this is putting up the brick walls instead of the paper walls. To put it into a parable version for you. You are not the first little pig, you are the last little pig. This helps you.
Those are sticks. That was a wall of sticks.
Now, one thing a couple of notes I want to bring up here. So the bill, so currently in Louisiana, any community can opt out of water fluoridation if 15% of registered voters sign a petition and then it's elected by majority vote. The proposal would have basically flipped that, basically saying, don't do it unless 15% of registered voters petition for it, and then it's approved by a majority. So it's not a complete ban, from what I can tell.
But you and I both know that opt-in means it might as well be, because they'll drag their feet
and
etc.
All I'm going to say is, with the way the water is right now, good luck getting it out, and good luck having the water sent
that is
to
the other
you,
thing is
not have it in it.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is the proposed law provides that systems are not required to remove any naturally occurring fluoride from their water. So any places that have over-fluoridation, that's probably not going to go away anytime soon. It's also worth noting. It's also worth noting that a lot of the the over-fluoridation in Louisiana is due to the various coal and petroleum power plants that just dump that shit.
Well, but it's also not regulating it at the water treatment plants by inspecting on regular basis, like they're required to. There's like that's why I don't blame the companies, because that's part of that regulation as well. If we were regulating it and enforcing those regulations the way that we're supposed to, there would not be a single state in the country that has this problem. Yeah. It's just that simple. That being said, before we move on and like close out, Jack Brooke is the author of this article at AP, and I'm just going to point out, Jack, this is like high school level, homie. Like, do better. Like seriously, like some of these things aren't even 2 sentences long.
The fluoride was literally a single sentence.
Same with fucking LGBT.
Hey, all I'm gonna say is that, like, sometimes with these things, like, I honestly think that when it comes to doing like reporting with these, is that they have a particular word limit, and
that may be the case, but at the same time, then split it into 2 articles: what was accepted, what was rejected, because like some of this needed more detail, and I mean, ANCOM went and dug on it for a couple of them, but like some of this is like. The problem is I use Rawls' veil of ignorance when dealing with this shit. I always try to imagine where I'd be in this system, without knowing where I'd be in that system, is precisely how it could affect it. And some of these are double-edged swords. It's like the minimum wage one. Like, we have seen raising minimum wage, even when we raised it to $7.25, kill whole communities because it raised too quick for them. Because at that time it raised from like, what was it, $5.15 or something like that. Like, it raised too quick and it killed whole communities. It basically started, not literally, but really opened the floodgates of the corporatization of every city.
Mm-hmm.
You used to have far more mom and pop places in any given town, far less Walmarts and Home Depots. You used to have to drive to the next town over for that crap. They were easy to get to, don't get me wrong, but you didn't have 2 Walmarts in every city like you do now.
Right. You didn't have,
I'm in a
2
town,
Walmarts across the street from each other.
like, I shit you not, I'm in a town of less than 50,000 people. I have 2 Walmarts.
Yeah.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Now, I do just want to give
Go ahead.
I do just want to do a tiny bit of devil's advocate for the authors of this article, because apparently it was 2 of them. The AP is meant to be, a paper of record or a reporter of record. They don't generally provide analysis.
No, they do to a point. And here's my thing. Every one of these links I clicked in this fucking article just went to a different AP article. Link me to the fucking thing you're talking about, you son of a bitch.
No, that is a common gripe I have whenever any news source reports on either legislation that is or isn't being passed, or they talk about new studies. Like
here's the thing. Let most of them be it. Let most of them be that. But that one, rejected the bill. That should be the fucking bill that I need to go look at. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like that one. That one's really narrow list of exceptions. That one really should be the...
I feel like what they should have done is every single one of these headers should have been a link to the Louisiana legislature page that had that tracks the bill, or at least because there are plenty of there are a number of different websites, I think, that actively track state legislature. It didn't have to go to the state's website. It could have gone to one of those, but something to actually get you the content of the bill itself, and maybe a slightly longer blurb about what it would have done. Because I wouldn't
even have cared about the longer blurb. A link. Literally, at the end of each one of these blurbs, a fucking link to a screenshot of the part of the bill you're talking about. That's it. I get it. I write articles on Substack. I know how much of a pain in the ass it is to do that sometimes. You would have had to do one hyperlink for this whole motherfucker. One.
Yeah.
For the bills. It would have been so quick.
Oh, come on, Jack. You don't like reading the abridged press?
No, I really don't. Here's the thing. There are some authors who can say things very, very quickly and communicate very effectively. You, as a linguist, and me, as somebody who reads a lot of fucking science communication and history communication, know how rare good fucking communicators are.
Mm-hmm.
All I'm saying is Jack looks like he's 20, 25 maybe. Do better, dude. A link. One fucking Control Z or Control X, Control V fucking combo. It's real quick. It doesn't take the word processing program does the rest of it after you hit enter. It automatically makes it a hyperlink. You don't even have to click insert hyperlink anymore.
All right. Well, we're going to close out then. What is it? I'm Desperado Sensei. Yeah, this has been Jack.
I'm Jack.
And
And I'm Ancom Psychom.
And don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on Substack. And we will see you with our either our next live broadcast sometime in the near future and our new videos coming out. Go ahead and take a look at those. But until then, we will see you later. Take care and bye-bye.